Welcome back, everybody, to the LPL English broadcast for another edition of the LPL playoffs here in Split 1. My name is Yanni. I am joined here by Rude Dude, and we have an awesome matchup today. It's Top Esports versus Team WE. The first time we saw these teams, it was to see the first team to get into playoffs. And now, it's to see the first team to leave.
It's a brutal schedule for these two to have to face up against one another in such a fashion. Obviously, for Top Esports, a 3-2 series to knock them down here. WE, a slightly different flavour on their route to this elimination match. Top Esports, I mean, they won 2 games, but I don't know that they felt like a competitive team in their upper bracket series. WE got swept aside, unfortunately, and that was maybe just the nature of what was going to happen. And when we look at now these two teams coming into this lower elimination game, we look back, Yanni, to that series that they played against each other to see who was going to come in. It was a 5-game super banger, everybody giving everything that they had to see who could make it in. And Top Esports, you know, they find themselves here, I think, still slightly the favourites for this, but we're slightly differing on our opinions for this show, which is beautiful. But we have different views on who it is that's going to come out on top, and we have different views on, or not who's going to come out on top, but how this series is going to go and what the scoreline might be.
No doubt about it. You put it really well with how these two teams handled the upper bracket. Top Esports getting knocked down by JDG at times. It looks like they won games that they really shouldn't have, right? They were able to punish JDG, and that's a great quality to have. That is a quality that winning teams do have. But on the other side, Team WE getting swept out by AL, that is an understatement for what was the second fastest best of 5 in LPL history. So we still have a lot of questions surrounding this Team WE squad, not only in gameplay for now, but for what could happen to them if they lose here tonight.
Yeah, they obviously have secured themselves their spot in the top 8, so not the worst finish regardless, making it into the playoffs maybe, and arguably the most important part of this Split 1 outside of actually winning it itself. So I think the WE themselves have still got a lot to prove, and I think that just their story from the whole split itself has been quite entertaining, you know, sort of the absolute undisputed top dogs of Perseverance. This really was their chance to come in and prove that they were a team meant for Ascend. They had to prove themselves to get in as well. They had that series that everybody was expecting to be very close up against LNG, and instead they kind of handled that without too many concerns. Now it's that case of proving if they can handle any of the Ascend teams, right? Top Esports come in and they were one of our weaker teams from Ascend in that first split, so this series up against them is going to be very indicative of what we anticipate being WE stakes in split number 2.
No doubt about it, my friend, and I think the best way to put it for both sides is that, well, there's players on both sides that really need to step up. We're going to start off looking at this Top Esports roster to really dig into that. You will notice a lot of these names, but a lot of them you won't if you are now just tuning in for playoffs. It's 369, Nio, Cream, Jachi, and Fungyue. And I think that Cream hasn't been great in past playoff matches against Team WE, but both bot lanes also need to make their presence known in this match. Jachi and Fungyue having some trouble at times.
Yeah, they are, and I think that that's sort of been a later season development as well, which is a little bit strange. I think they actually came onto the split, you know, Fungyue with Poppy support, with Diachi having some pretty decent performances on things like Misfortune. They did have some pretty standout early season games, but as we've crept later and later into the season, Diachi getting caught on mid-waves has kind of been a route to suicides for him almost. He's been a little bit too far forward. Whereas I actually think that top side for Top Esports may be an area of the map that me personally, I was a little bit more down on, and in particular in the mid lane, Cream has had a very good showing. 369 has been relatively consistent the whole split, has needed to do a lot more stepping up than he has done on previous iterations of a Top Esports roster, since he is now the big name. But I do think he's had a pretty decent showing. I think that Cream stepping up into that has been a very good look for him, even earning a third All-Pro nod from our LPL English broadcast crew. And then it's Nio, who's going to need to be really important, and I do think those junglers in this game are going to be massive, Yanni.
A good shout about 369. I really think this guy got snubbed for an All-Pro. I think he's just been so good. the entire time. But here we're taking a look at Nio because you'd mentioned that the big part of this team's success, and it feels like he's at his best when he's on a proactive champion that has CC. And you saw in that first clip that invade that he had when his team was getting pushed in every single lane. Like, that is just really wacky stuff that you don't typically see out of a jungler, and it worked to perfection. You see that gank up top, and then he immediately comes after to cover this mid dive.
Yeah, and you can just see that they're looking still for Cream, and it's just an absolute disaster. So you know, we can credit Top Esports. We can maybe say, Junjia, what on earth are you up to? But the point being here that the Top Esports obviously do thrive when their jungler is ready to make these plays, and when he's got the agency to make something happen. This is a pretty much a one route round where he's just killed the jungler and now immediately walks his way back up to that top side to make something happen. You know, Nocturne ganking without the ulti, not something that is typically all that successful, but now he's finding those angles, and in those games where he does look good, it's when Top Esports begin to succeed.
So rare that you happen to see 2-for-1 plays out of a jungler, right? When you're like, okay, you know, I'll go do something here. Oh, I get to go show up elsewhere and make it happen. And you go all the credit in the world to Nio having to step in to the shoes of Kanavi here in Split 1. And honestly, as things have gone on, I think he's filled them decently, right? I don't think anybody can ever fill them fully, but he has not done a bad job at all. Now let's start digging into the other roster on the other side, because as said, well, there are still some players that need to step it up for Team WE. It's Cube, Monkey, Karis, About, and Yao Yao. Cube's performance versus AL was a huge issue, and Karis needs to take the next step in order to best Cream.
Yeah, and I think that had Cream not leveled up this split, we might be looking at this mid lane matchup thinking that it's relatively even. I do think that Karis himself has played better this split, but he hasn't played in these playoff series to a high enough level consistently enough to give me that benefit of the doubt that he's going to be able to take a good series up against Cream here. I mean, the shining spots of this have been About down on the bot side, our rookie of the split Yao Yao as well, after all of the turmoil that we thought was going to be this WE support role coming out of Demacia Cup. Actually, that bot lane has proven to be a very, very solid part of this WE roster. You know, curious to hear your opinion on Monkey, Yanni, because it feels like WE, every split, we change who their core member is. Split 2 last year, we had Taeyun, who was going crazy, then it became Monkey, and this split now, it's turned back to that bot lane with a new bot laner in there. I kind of want to know what your thoughts on Monkey have been this split.
It's been so weird, man, because this guy is the leader and they will follow him to the ends of the earth, and we have seen them fall off of a cliff at times following his calls, times where he's been disconnected with the rest of the team. It does feel like when things are working very well, especially when he's able to control the early game, that's when he's at his best, right? That's when you see him kind of do the same role that we see on the other side in the jungle for Nio, right? I think these guys can be very similar in those aspects when they play the same sort of champions that have CC, that have this early game presence. So this is why it's such an exciting head-to-head matchup. But if Monkey can channel some of that form that he had from 2025, Team WE is very, very dangerous.
They are, and that's sort of the hope here, I think, up against Top Esports, that we can see shades of the past for Monkey, and that hopefully those calls that he's leading the team with are ones to success and not ones to a very, very swift defeat. But we'd be remiss, really, Yanni, to talk about this WE roster without confronting what you highlighted from that top lane and the problems that we saw there.
Yeah, it was not great. Basically, this series might be a race to solve the Rubik's Cube first. I think what AL did was pretty great, right? They just gave Flandra Cube's best champions. He had the Scion, he had the Rumble, so my fix is let's get them for Cube instead of giving them to Flandra.
I think that's a very solid fix, right? Yeah, let's put Cube on his good champions. Cube Rumble has been a staple for him. Scion as well. One of those champions that's very difficult to navigate poorly. So, you can expect good agency, right? The opportunity on a Scion is very difficult to be low and very easy to be quite high in terms of that execution. Rumble obviously a little bit different, but Cube has proven himself on this champion. And like you say, I think this graphic just came together perfectly. Solving the Rubik's Cube for our top lane, and whoever it is that figures out what Cube's going to do first, whether it's WE or Top Esports, might well decide whether we've got a hemorrhaging top side for WE or if they've got a bright spot to try and play with.
No doubt about it. And I think a big reason why it seems that way is when you take a look at the last time these two teams played, I mean, Cube had some great games against 369. He had this Rumble game where he went 9-2-15. The Scion game ended up being a loss, but he didn't int his face off or anything like that. And I don't like that that's the standard, but it is what it is. He had a great Zehen game too. I mean, you can definitely win with this guy on your squad. It's just a matter of if you can get him the champions that he's comfortable on, you will have a much better shot at winning, especially against a guy like 369. Now, another player that you had mentioned, it's time to talk about them. It's time to talk about because this guy, the most MVPs for Team WE in the regular split, was the rookie of the split as well, and against Top Esports in that best of 5, in my opinion, was the most consistent player from game to game.
Yeah, and I think that's probably quite a good benchmark for about in this series. Our expectation is that he will be able to outperform Jiaxi, who I do think mechanically does have some very high highs. It's just fundamentally as well, his understanding and learning of this high level of competitive League of Legends just hasn't quite been at the highest highs. But like we say, in their last best of 5, we take a look at those scorelines. Yeah, slightly rough Sivir game, but across the board, very solid scorelines being pumped out on all 5 of these champions. It's a wide range of champion pool as well. We've got these early aggressive picks like the Corki and the Varus. We've got these hyperscalers in the Aphelios and the Sivir. And then we've got that Ezreal rounding out as well, what is a very diverse champion pool. So it's not like About is this one trick Jinx pony that we're just really hoping that he can play Jinx exceptionally well with and carry on through the rest of the day. It's a showcase of pretty much everything that AD Carry itself has to offer that he's doing very well with.
Right, and I think a couple of people were, questioning the Rookie of the Split award that he got. I think a lot of people thought Fengwei should have gotten it over on the other side, but, whether you think that is correct or not, you cannot discount what About was able to do in that last series versus Top Esports, and I think it's good credence to why they were the Rookie of the Split. Let's start getting into the brass tacks here between these two teams, because there's been a lot of history between these sides, Rudude, especially recently.
Yeah.
There's been a very interesting head-to-head record between the two of them that I'm sure we'll have pulled up in a moment after the intro, because, listen, it might be their 5th game since that summer 2025 where Team WE had a huge upset over Team WE, but 3-1 overall for Top Esports and a 9-7 game record, a lot closer than I initially thought.
Yeah, I mean, the two sides have been pretty blow for blow as we've looked at their recent history. Obviously, walkouts here coming through on stage, but this is just another chapter in what has been actually a pretty thrilling battle between these two sides since the back end of 2025. Obviously, we got to see them dicing it off a couple of weeks ago on the play-ins stage. That was a really good series. I mean, we've had no regular season matches between them due to the nature of how Split 1 did end up coming to fruition. But the back end of 2025 as well, some very, very interesting series to be played. And we'll see now whether or not WE can write another chapter, start to begin that upset once again. This is a win, stay in, lose, go home type situation for these two teams, where this could very well be the end of Split number 1, and it would be a pretty disappointing way to go out as well. Both of these teams battled their way through the play-ins to make it to this stage, but to get immediately bombed out of the playoffs would not be what these teams are after.
No doubt about it, especially because Top Esports were last year's first stand representatives for us here at the LPL, all right? They're already on their last life, not really a great start. Obviously, their roster is very different from what we saw. Here's that head-to-head graphic. It's a 3-1 in favor of Top Esports, but again, a 9-7 game score. Very, very close since that Split 2 playoff match. We'll see if Team WE has another one that they can pull out of the back pocket here. it would be a sizable upset. Not only that, it would also eliminate Top Esports from playoffs. Again, they've been here before.
And I mean, the 4-2 there is just the double round robin, so it's 2-2-1s for Top Esports. Pretty much anytime these guys play in a head-to-head, they go the distance in a series, whether it's best of 5, best of 3. They're giving us max number of games, and that has been the case since Split 2 here of 2025. So, you know, buckle in, folks. Strap up for what is going to be hopefully a really long, really entertaining series between these two sides to see who it is, like you say, that's our first team to leave.
Now, Rudu, I have to say that because this has been so close, we were talking earlier, you believe that this is going to be a 3-1 for Top Esports, maybe even potential for a 3-0, who knows? But yeah, I want to see, have you changed your opinion? Because I think we're going all 5.
No, I actually still maybe a little bit too much on the WE hate train, and that's probably a me problem. But I just I'm looking at these two sides, and I am just a little bit too high on Top Esports. I think that they, as a team, actually really leveled up coming into the start of the split. Overall, I wasn't too keen on them. This roster obviously got a lot of ultimately downgrades versus what we were expecting the roster to look like after the back end of 2025. But I think moving into the back end of this first split, actually a lot of really good things came through for them. So they feel like, to me, a team that can hang with the top squads, and WE just don't.
Understandable, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Top Esports was playing in Ascend for the entire first split. And a 1-4 start, they were able to bring it back, and, you know, they had a respectable record when all was said and done. They were able to definitely show off a little bit against some of these better teams. But we'll see what version of Top Esports we are getting today, the Dream Crusher WE version or the one that got upset last year. And immediately we are off schedule for Team WE as that Rumble is locked in for 369 and taken away from Cube.
Yeah, so we got the Varus and the Azir getting to be locked in. A pretty staple pairing as a response for WE, so those carries in the lanes have already been dictated here. I was a little bit interested by the Jarvan ban from WE, sort of suggesting that they want to go for something stand and deliver-ish in the mid lane. Instead, they get to opt into this Azir, one of the better answers to a Jarvan, it must be said. Just one of these picks that can usually handle that Jarvan Cataclysm without too many difficulties, but this time round, not going to be nearly the case, and they go for something that is able to get out of danger. And it's responded to immediately with Cream locking in that Yone, which for me, again, big gauntlet being laid down here in game number 1.
Triple melees here, and honestly, if I'm Team WE, I'm a little bit surprised they locked in the Poppy. I thought that maybe a Braum could have been available, and you just ban out 2 champions that are difficult to play into, but this is what Team WE are going to lock in. I do like that Azir pick because it has been one of Karus's best champions. He's 5-2 on it so far this year, and there's not many great Azirs here in the LPL that we've seen, so we'll have to see if he's able to write a new chapter for LPL Azir.
It would be a good day. We will see whether or not that is a possibility here for WE, and I do think that obviously looking towards how this series itself might play out, that the denial of the Poppy itself is a pretty good idea. Feng Yue sort of making his name for me on this Poppy champion, so getting that denied away, it's a little bit of a revenge here. We see 369 was taking this Rumble away from Cube. This feels to me like the Poppy being taken away from Feng Yue.
Still waiting on the last couple of bans here. We already see Team WE focusing down on that bot lane. Remember that this Varus pick does not marry it to the bot lane. They could still have opportunities to shift that over to the top side if they want that into the Rumble. Misfortune going to be the final ban here for Team WE. So for Team WE, I want to see what else they have to put together to make sure that this Azir can get into the late game.
Yeah, they're going to need to put a good few things through this early game to make it work. And we see early on that the Varus is flexed up to that top side. So it's about taking this Jhin. It's going to be Cube locking in this presumed AP Varus into the top side. And now that does alter your game plan. I do still think that there was a opportunity for WE to keep this flex hidden allow top esports to sort of gamble a little bit on this bot side, but WE valuing that support counter pick a little bit too highly, or not too highly, but very highly itself, so that they can play through this lane on the top side. And I think that with the Jhin locked in, you are looking for now a pretty decent front to back, right? You've got a lot of poke coming through. You've got the Poppy to try and stand and be some sort of disengage. I do think that I'm concerned for how well WE can stand in front of top esports, because if they just run at them, there's nobody particularly to absorb that just yet. And expecting that this Poppy now has to go into Monkey's hands, and Yao Yao also going to need to pick something relatively tanky in that as well.
Fengwei doesn't give a damn. He's going to pick Alistar into the Poppy. And really, why should you care when you have On the Hunt to speed up every single member of top esports? 4 melees, no problems. And good shout by you. We'll see what the move is here for Team WE. If they want to flex that Poppy out, it looks like that could be in the cards for them. All right, we're going to lock in the Bard here. So the stuns on these melee champions should be pretty good, but these Tempered Fates are going to need to be aces in these fights.
This is a very difficult composition, it feels like, for WE to execute. They do have a lot of range, and the sort of engage that top esports have, it's going to be reliant on an equalizer from one side, and, you know, Fengwei looking for maybe a little bit of a unique angle in, but I do think top esports have enough, even if it's just Cream throwing his life on the line to start a fight. With one of those Fate sealed, he can then snap back, not all that difficult, and Nayo as well can just throw himself in there. So I don't know that WE have enough disengage to answer this. Yes, they've got the Poppy, so we can never discount the power of a Poppycopter, but I think WE have drafted themselves a very difficult composition to try and execute, where, at least for top esports, there's ways I can see this playing out. Like, if I look at this WE roster, how are they ever going to start a fight? You know, Tempered Fate might be able to do it, but you're trying to do that and then expect 4 people to be able to stand up, where unless they land the massive Tempered Fate onto, you know, all 3 people that can carry or engage, if you don't hit the Alistar's going to engage. If you don't hit the Yone will counter and try and buy a little bit of time. If you don't hit the Pantheon can disrupt. So I really think this is going to be tricky for WE. I think top esports come out of this draft with a really strong advantage.
I couldn't agree more, dude. I mean, the way that Team WE wins is by not fighting fair. Unfortunately for them, if they see a fight that even looks remotely winnable, they'll take it. And that doesn't necessarily mean, oh, we have a man advantage. That means it's a 5v5 and we're feeling really good about ourselves. Team WE embodies the LPL spirit that way. Let's see if they are able to fight in this game against Team WE. Game 1, Summoner's Rift, for this best of 5 win or go home series.
There were a few Gyos in there.
It's still early. It's just game 1. You're saving the Gyos, the best Gyos for us.
Yeah, and I think that the fans as well were a little bit concerned about what was happening down on that bot side. Tiachi already having to lose that early barrier, as Yao Yao and About got a pretty good trade-off. A 4th shot coming through. You can see they're just getting absolutely bullied down here. Fengwei taking a lot of his health to try and stand up and even get experience in this bot lane, where they're going to be denied one melee creep there, maybe try to be denied another one, but you can just see their HP has already been absolutely chunked to oblivion.
We hinted at it earlier, but one thing that's really important to talk about for the series is a lot of different moving parts for both of these squads coming into 2026. Team WE with a new bot lane, top esports, you know, famously having a new bot lane because Jackie Love is on break, and again, you've got Nayo in the jungle. We don't know what the future of a lot of these players are going to be, right? This series can really make a big impact on what the rest of not only their next couple of weeks look like, but maybe even their entire 2026. And we're looking for players like Fengwei to step up to see if he is deemed worthy of being a mainstay on this top esports team moving forward in 2026.
I think that's you know, that they're obviously their play in this series is going to be crucial, and it's sort of whether or not they succeed in the playoffs in any facet is going to be a pretty big look for their possibilities, their prospects. I mean, for Jiachi in particular, right, like you mentioned, it is going to be a really important series and a really important split for him, because he does have, you know, Jacula sort of waiting in the wings, pretty much slated to come back and take his spot. So it's a question of whether or not he can show enough to get other people interested, right? Do other teams want to pick him up, or does this want to be sort of a LDL plus spot for him where they might try and rotate the 6-man roster, or they might try and play him for a misfortune angle for one game? But you know, we need to consider these things and consider what their possibilities in the future do look like.
Really good start for About and Yao Yao in the bot lane that had trouble getting a lot of traction against AL. You know, no shade to them because it is very difficult to do so. But again, these bot lanes are the ones that have at times struggled to make impact in these series, and already we can see that Team WE has a lot of that early advantage. Monkey is heading up top to secure the crab split, and it looks like Nio will head back into his jungle for the moment, as we have 369 teleporting back to lane after getting poked out by Cube.
Yeah, and I think that obviously with these two teams, it is going to be largely about that early game for WE if they can succeed. I think there's a couple of connection issues, so I'll just make sure that everything's okay first, Johnny.
Oh, yep, you're here. Don't worry.
Okay, that's good. Either way, though, like this early game, I think is really important for WE as we look at this match. They kind of need to snowball. They kind of need to do some good stuff and set up around those objectives. As the game gets later, it's just so much harder for them to play out with this team composition, I feel like. So the onus really is on them to make something happen early on.
Yep, and if Team WE are allowed to just kind of hang out, things could be okay for them for the time being, right? Karis has a pretty solid lane here into the Yone because you are the range into the melee. So as long as there's not too much disruption, you should be just fine. In the bottom lane, we're once again seeing Fungyue get the poor end of a trade. It has been tough so far. So hold on. In the mid lane, we have an exhaust down onto Karis here. Cream gonna not land that Q3 knockup. Nio is coming around the tribe rush. Yao Yao and About need to exit immediately. Nice headbutt delivery system. And Yao Yao is able to walk out with a heal.
I loved that. A little bit of a ping pong there between the Alistar and the Pantheon. We'll see whether or not they can sort of pass other people as the game gets later on toward one another. And we'll see whether or not that duo ends up being a route to full first kills, as we still yet to see first blood in this game, Yanni. We'll yet to even see those neutral objectives be sniffed at. I know only 5 minutes in and that dragon's only just spawned, but looking at how well this bot lane's going for WE, you would expect them to be able to get the push in on that bot wave. You would expect them to be able to try and take a fight, give Monkey a little bit of agency. One of the things that we talked about in the pre-show, Yanni, was that both of these junglers have the very real possibility of dictating how this series goes. We've seen a little bit of flexing from Nio early on, but now here's Monkey.
Well, Magical Journey is one way to do it. We're going to get a flash out of the Alistar. The question is, what can we do to Jotchi? Jotchi with a nice sidestep on the captive audience means that he's down just a barrier. Team WE do have a couple member advantage here if they want to head to that dragon.
So let's weigh up ganks then early on, Yanni. We got flash and barrier burned from Fungyue and Jotchi versus just the summoner heal burned by Yao Yao as a gank that we got to see there. And you can see in this mid lane, Karis continually getting slightly better ends of these trades. He's got slightly more of a CS lead as well and is really looking to put down that harass onto Cream. Getting some good damage out of the works early on.
He's gonna clean up this next crab. Does mean he is now level 6. Big spike for the junglers, especially this season. And they're already looking to make a play onto Cream. Here's that magical journey. Nice job by Cream using that Fade Seal to get out.
I'm loving this little duo that WE are sending everywhere. We've got Yao Yao and Monkey now. Twice they've come through these magical journeys to try and see whether or not they can find a pick. This time round it results in finding the ulti from Cream. So a good amount of early work being done by this duo to get those cooldowns out, make those lanes feel a little bit safer. And you can see Monkey now on this top side looking for 369.
All right, Equalizer there to split the gap, and here comes Pantheon, but immediately booted out. 369 is forced to flash away. Meanwhile, down in the bot lane, Jotchi is going to get targeted up. Captive audience, first shot, second shot, flash over the wall, and Yao Yao will clean it up for first blood.
And that's what you get when you manage to punish so early in this bot side. Monkey has just made 3 ganks happen in 3 different lanes in the span of the last 2 minutes. Burned the barrier off of Jotchi earlier on, so he can't block any of the damage. Then he has to think, well, actually, no, I need to flash over this wall and make something of an escape of it. Realizes too late, ends up falling. He should never be this far up when his support isn't in his lane either. And, you know, we look at the experience for these two supports. Yao hasn't been in lane. He's level 4 versus Fongyue, who's just dinged level 6. This was maybe the first time that Fongyue has left Judgy alone, and he immediately then falls.
Something to take note of for these upcoming objective fights as the dragon has spawned. Yao is going to take a peek at it while Monkey is over on the top side, and imagine it might be just a swap of objectives. But speaking of Yao, really impressed by what this guy has done to start off the game. This is, again, one of the players that feels like he hasn't really made a stamp on any of the games that he's played in, and in this one, he certainly has.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good start for Yao, like we said earlier on. The sort of, not even turmoil, but the expected problems that we were looking at for this WE support role really haven't been felt in this split. Lots of pretty good stuff from Yao, definitely serviceable enough to find a 6-0 opener in this regular season. So really keen and really eager to see what he can continue to deliver.
Well, Emperor's Defied not quite landing there. A big cooldown while Cream does have the Fate Seal available to him. You can already see some plays happening down on the bot side, though, as Fongyue is coming through after About. Meanwhile, Nio is also on the way. Flash from About. Knockup is there as well. Stunned under the turret. But Nio's not going to be able to get there in time. Looking for at least a little bit of damage to turn around here. Nio's going to put up that shield wall, deal a little bit of extra damage, and now they might be looking for a dive, as About is caught very low right now. Yao is not level 6, and this is bad news. About gets splashed on by Nio. Barriers there, but not enough to save him. Stun coming down onto Nio as Monkey and Karis are on the way. Again, a big tool down from Karis here. Fongyue is going to look to just try to keep people out, but he didn't land the knock up there, and they flash right after Nio, and it's Karis getting his first of the game.
Yeah, I think Fongyue there, just being a little bit cautious, tried to use his headbutt to knock up and stall Monkey's play. Instead, if he'd just gone for the knock away in that W, he would have been, you know, either successful or forced a very early flash from Monkey, which might have then been able to be reacted to. But even still, a 1-for-1 down on that bot side. I do think that's a winning play for Top Esports. Getting that Jhin to feel a little bit of pain. Definitely not been a situation for him that was a problem thus far. Really good early out from About here, but he just sticks around a little bit too long trying to get some damage down. Gets another auto there from Judgy. He's walking up to try and do some damage. He's getting constantly hit by these ricochets, gets tagged by another Q from the Sivir, and then you realise, actually, I'm far too low to stick around under this turret. Taking about 400 damage worth of chip damage, and then just a flash in from Nio. Really, really easily makes that kill come through. And obviously the Pantheon loses out on his life on the backside of that, but I don't think that that's the worst thing in the world, and I do think this gives a really good opportunity now to Top Esports to get this Sivir into that late game, to that point where as soon as she just hits anybody, good things are going to happen.
The bad news for Top Esports in that sense is that we're down pretty heavily on this Sivir right now. The CS department is very, very large, as About has to take the magical journey over the wall, but I don't think he's going to find a way out for himself, as Judgy is going to even up a little bit of that gold gap. And
there we go. That's now that Sivir in the ascendancy, now a little bit ahead. Yes, the CS is looking bleak, but everything else looks pretty darn good now for Judgy. And we've seen Judgy have these positions in the regular season and in playoffs before. We've also seen him cost his team really big tempo swings in the mid game just by getting caught out. So this is an opportunity now where he's been through a pretty rough early game. His team have bailed him out. Nio's been really active twice on the map.
Karis has gotten caught. Emperor's Divide to shove away the Alistar, and he will be able to slide his way out. But again, we're not seeing any useful offensive Emperor's Divides here to start off this game, with this Dragon coming up in a minute and 30 seconds. If Team WE want to fight for it, they're going to need Karis at full power. Monkey already heading up to the top rush, finding Fongyue the hard way, but is able to dole out a lot of damage toward him. The problem is he's stunned up, and the CC lock is coming through, along with 369 to burn him away. The hammer only knocks one out, and 369 is on the board.
Yeah, really good to see that this Rumble is able to get a little bit of gold. Again, the reason we were so keen and so eager to see this Rumble picked is because it's a denial, but we know that 369 can play the Rumble. We know that this pick is going to do work as we move into that mid into the late game. And if your Rumble can begin to get very farmed, That's going to be a really good sign as this game gets later. Not too many people are going to be able to stand on that equalizer. Varus and Ajin have got a really difficult time even just walking off of it. So should be a pretty good position for Top Esports' top side of the map. Cream sort of weathered that storm in the mid lane, has come back to a point now where he's pretty much even in farm, taking some really good trades up against Karis as well. I do want to call out that so far, Fongyui's Alistar hasn't been super impressive, just a couple of mechanical things that he's not quite executing on perfectly. Like that gank in the mid lane onto Karis, he's using his cooldowns before Karis uses his shift. You want to try and stand there and block that from getting out.
That said, his roam up to the top side, pretty solid there to set up that kill on the monkey. So while things haven't been perfect, they have not been terrible to kick things off. There was, you know, something that was shared on social media of him talking with Crisp, the former Top Esports support, and he's upset that he's been a bit of a liability, and we have seen Fongyui get taken out in early laning and now in this potential fight. After a lot of poke goes down onto him, Team WE looking for control of the dragon.
Looks like they're going to get it as well. I mean, I think the fact that they lost that first dragon, again, really detrimental. They're looking for Nayo, and the flash does get burned. Means that this dragon probably forfeit, and probably should be picked up by WE without any real competition. But the fact that they didn't find the first one, to me, a really big problem. I think that they're going to be relying very heavily on Monkey and what his Keeper's Verdict can do as we move into the late game. You know, you're looking to generate numbers disadvantages before you take these fights. Otherwise, you're relying quite extensively on this Bard as we see a big movement up to this top side. Cube knows he's in danger.
Speaking of numbers disadvantages, this is a pretty big one. Locked up on the equalizer. It's barbecued Cube up in the top side.
Hey, man, you know, sometimes you win dragons and you lose your top laner. And I feel like for WE, this is something that could have been prevented. Cube getting a little bit greedy here, looking for some lasting minions underneath the turret. But there was definitely an element of transparency with this play. He did have flash available, did have his ulti as well, so I think there was a little bit more outplaying to be done. Maybe you can flash off of the equalizer as soon as you see the Alistar start flying in at you as well. Maybe with the Pantheon there, it's not worth it and you just accept the L and you should have backed off sooner. But again, I feel like this is one of those things that we should have seen coming, should know that was going to be the case, and that we are just feeding over gold where we might not have necessarily needed to.
And the proactivity really hasn't been there for Team WE. They have, you know, done well to poke out Fongyue and take control of some areas, and getting a dragon for their team early to allow Karis more time to scale is great. But Cube is down in gold. About is playing Jhin, which is not known for the early skirmishing power. So really, Team WE is playing the Karis waiting room, which is not something they're really used to doing as a team.
No, not at all. So they're going to have to rely on it, and you can see here that actually the Needsley Large Rod coming through nice and early. We're not going for the Rylai's. We are not going for this, not necessarily poverty build. Is he going to get interrupted? No, he doesn't. Uses the barrier there to keep tempo high. Goes back, finishes off a Zeal because he wants to be able to get back out. At the very least, contribute a curtain call to this. Cube has got teleport if WE want to look here. And remember, Tempered Fate now available.
Is not healthy. That Tempered Fate's pretty good. Knockup going to come in to try to lock up Monkey. Karis is looking to get into the fight. Emperor's Divide lands on the two, but he got exhausted. Herald's going to go over to that Pantheon. Meanwhile, on the backside, About it has to contend with 369, and it's not working out, but Team WE is winning the fight on the other front. There's the magical journey over the wall, and it's Cream going down. It's a double kill for Cube. And it is a huge fight win for Team WE to get themselves back in it.
Yeah, fortunately, they've got a backup marksman from the top side. Cube, who got dove just a couple of minutes ago, actually finds himself able to do a large amount of work on that top side fight. And let's take a look at what actually happened here. So it looks really good for Top Esports to begin with. WE do get a good Tempered Fate, but it only connects onto Nayo. The Keeper's Verdict is interrupted by Fongyue, and then Karis swoops in. This is kind of what turns it for them. Karis gets exhausted, but doesn't really feel too problematic. Chain of Corruption able to do and get a lot of Blight stacks across pretty much all of Top Esports.
Nayo versus Cube, and Cube is 3 levels up. Equalizer goes down, but it doesn't mean a damn thing. However, Cube is in a bit of a bad way. There's a Chains of Corruption down on the 369. Can he turn this fight? He flashes away. Oh my goodness!
There we go!
And
1v2.
the 2v1 goes 2 for 1.
We take those. This Varus is a pick that we can put on the list for Cube here. He was playing so frequently around these Rumble Scions, not showing us the Varus as a PowerPoint that we were excited about. Instead, shows us that we should be excited about this pick, and we should be excited for what he can do with it. Dusk and Dawn and a Fiendish Codex goes back to base, finishes up an entire Nash's Tooth from there. Now has a massively sizable advantage. Plated steel caps on top of that, so, I mean, this Varus now... I mean, this was just way too early from Nio. Like you say, 3 levels down. This is not even close. Yes, a good dodge from Cube keeps him out of one of the Qs. But Cube able to rotate those blight stacks really well. And you'll see as soon as he hops into the brush here, just trying to play a little bit slowly. Chain of Corruption comes down early. He dodges everything. 2 harpoons go wide. One of them he flashes. Commits 369's flash as well. And that means that eventually he falls. But it's a really worthwhile trade for the Varus.
Excellent stuff there from Cube. He is not going to have that repositioning tool for the next fight coming up in about 30 seconds around this dragon, but that sequence as a whole for Team WE was massive because Karis went downstairs and picked up a turret. He's got his Nashor's Tooth, he's got his boots, but more importantly, has Azonia's, so the playmaking opportunities are still going to be there for him.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we said to this composition, WE, you know, you're the ones that are pressured by the need to make things happen early on. They're only 1,000 gold to the good right now. But that's largely because Nio's quite farmed and quite far ahead of Monkey. You look at this composition for WE, they don't care if their Poppy's behind. Their Poppy's job is to keep us Verdict and maybe act as a front line. So the fact that all of their sort of laners are in a pretty good position is really that tangential part to how this game is going to be successful for them. Mountain Drake has spawned, and for Top Esports, they're all here. They want to fight.
All right, there's an equalizer, and it's a damn good one, but a good stop there by Monkey. The magical journey to get Team WE out of a sticky situation, but they might want to re-engage. Cream with the Soul Unbound might go for a huge knock up here. 1,000 HP and lower. It's secured by Top Esports. Feng says, I want more, and he's going to find out the hard way. That was a bad move, and the curtain call will finish him off. 4th shot coming through. It's blocked by Jachi. It's a 5v4, and Team WE showing restraint.
Hey man, as far as Hex Flashes go, we've seen a lot better. I think Feng Yue there just sort of giving up something for nothing, as Top Esports had already secured the Dragon. They'd already done the hard work of pushing WE away. Really good equalizer from 369. Meant that game was, or that fight had been pretty much won without anybody going down. Now 369 is going to be able to convert onto this bot side turret, or rather Cream, excuse me, going to be convert onto this bot side turret, with Nio just really sort of seeing himself into this bot brush. So Top Esports don't get nothing out of this. They get a Dragon, they get some gold onto Cream, who I do think this game has the opportunity to go very nuclear. There's a lot of squishy targets on the other side. But WE are getting very crazy here. They've got Monkey to tank, they've got Karis to do DPS, and Cube can rotate his spells as well.
Oh my goodness, Team WE are just going for it. 20 minutes and 45 seconds into the game. Yao Yao's trying to keep everybody up, but he's going to have the magical journey over the wall. Cream goes in. Fate sealed. Doesn't matter. Baron to WE.
Now he's alone.
Can they find a way out? Monkey's still alive. Team WE's got to run because Sivir and Squad are on the hunt. Karis goes golden, but he's in trouble. Cube will burn away. The Emperor's Divide will save members of Team WE for the moment. 369 still looking for more and is going to find some low health members. Equalizer on top of Monkey. He'll target out About, but About should be able to walk away. A shrewd move by Team WE gets Baron for him.
And I still think that that's worthwhile. Yes, they're currently sat in a negative Baron power play, but it's about what they can do after with it. They've got Baron on Monkey, About, and Yao Yao. The sad thing is that both of their solo laners lost their lives. Of the people to go down, those are probably the 2 worst, and we're bordering on whether or not it's worthwhile. Now the question is, what can they do with it? Can they recuperate some of this gold? Because they went into that with a gold advantage, they're now sat as being down 2k gold off the back of this. And that's obviously not great. So we want to see if they can break open some of these turrets. They've got T1 in the mid lane, which you would expect them to be able to get with this Baron. But if they can't get anything more from this, then Top Esports just got a massive injection of gold. And with a better composition as the game gets later, that probably just means that they take the game.
It feels like Team WE forgot that Baron's only worth 150 per member instead of 300. And that's what it feels like a lot of teams forget when this sort of thing happens. So with 1 minute and 30 seconds left on it, half of its duration gone, you need to make up this 1,900 gold deficit that you put yourself in. It was nice and flashy and a lot of glitz and glam, but not a whole lot of substance. Jotchi could be in trouble. Fourth shot. See if it sneaks through, but it's a good tempered fate. Monkey is here. Teleport came in from Karis as well. Jotchi trying to get away, but Monkey got headbutted right into him. But Monkey is low, and Monkey goes down. Team WE are unable to secure a kill, but the push is still on here in the mid lane. We're going to get a teleport coming in. All right, Team WE getting surrounded. Fate Seal doesn't land. Karis whiffs his ultimate too. He goes to the back line and finds Jotchi. It's the ultimate from Varus went wide. Karis goes over the wall, has gone golden in the face of Cream. It's an equalizer down, and Team WE is getting surrounded. And you are so right, Rudude. They've lost the plot in this game.
They are completely at odds with one another. They've just lost their heads, for lack of a better word and lack of better phrasing here. They're so desperate to make something happen with this Baron. They can feel the game slipping away from them. And instead of doing anything that's going to be productive and help them end up closing this game, we just see them throwing their lives away underneath tier 2 turrets, going a little bit over aggressively. Monkey, you know, gets knocked underneath the turret and he falls. That's absolutely fine. Now Cream and Cube in a 1v1.
Exhaust is out. He's done it once. Can he do it twice? It does not look like it because that shield and that exhaust is too much to handle. Cream gets a solo kill on the side lane.
One hell of a drug is our summoner spell, Exhaust. And one of the really good things that I love seeing is the fact that we can now take Exhaust on mid laners. And yeah, you know, you've got to play the map a little bit wiser, but you get to see the power of it there. Finds an easy solo kill on the top side. This angle does look good. It's not a bad one. As soon as Monkey gets knocked under the turret, it then becomes a little bit worse. And I'm not against WE looking for this. I can see how they got here. But then from this position, look at Karis. He's so far forward. Completely out of sorts as to where he needs to be. A good double flash by the marksman. Does bait in a little bit of the carries out of Cream and 369, who then have to snap back, go for the fight onto Karis. But they're just not recognizing what spells are available, right? Nayo's able to re-engage with the ulti, Feng Yue spellbook TP's in. Now we've got Top Esports here looking to get Soul Point. Not going to be the worst thing if this dragon itself is picked up, but Cube's just TP top, and you can see Top Esports are doing everything. Cube TP's top lane, so they fire an equalizer into the mid lane for a little bit of poke. They get the dragon as well. And I think that was negative 3.1k as far as Baron power plays go.
Top Esports now has a pretty firm grip on this game. 25 minutes in. As you mentioned, Soul Point going over to them, making life hard for Team WE here. Remember, while they do have that Azir scaling, that Sivir on the other side is starting to get mighty big, and it looks like Infinity Edge could be next on the menu here in the mid lane. We're going to look for Nayo. We miss out of that Tempered Fate, but as long as you land everything else, it might not matter. But Nayo is able to heal up and regroup with the rest of his team. Meanwhile, Cream on the bottom side is splitting away.
Yeah, and he's yet to get his Infinity Edge as well. When that comes through, that's that really big breakpoint for Cream. Now Cube the one in trouble.
Yep, good chunk here, but everybody else descends on him. He's all alone with no one to help.
Oh yeah, just didn't press the B button, not quite recalling in time, as it looks like we expect this nimble escape from Cream to be successful. The thing is that About can't face check that. Good cleanse.
Yep, but Yao Yao is dead too, and they are getting knocked down like dominoes right now, Rude Dude. Ever since that Baron, Team WE is lifeless.
Felt like they had a little bit of a grasp over the map, but like they were willing to concede bot lane tier 2 because they were getting mid tier 2. That feels okay as far as trades go. But then just overextending, just not pressing the B button, like these fundamentals of timings really not there for WE, excuse me. So Top Esports have been really good at capitalizing. When we look at their series up against JDG, we said, yeah, you know, they probably shouldn't have won, but what they did do very well was capitalize, as Cream's just Yona'd on about, which is going to happen when you're 3 items deep. That Infinity Edge clearly proving to be a big enough tool. And now Top Esports are more than happy to probably take this Baron on spawn, probably close game number 1 out, and all because WE got a little bit over optimistic.
They were in over their heads, Dude, and the energy for Team WE has been let out like a balloon. Baron has been started up by Top Esports. It is getting shredded quickly, and Team WE has no response to it, just hanging around on the bot side. Feng Yue is out here on the mid lane. Yeah. Can they really even go after him because of his ultimate that he has? Top Esports now with a 7,000 gold lead, 27 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't look for that. What does About do here? Oh, he tries to auto-attack a Yone. Yeah, that's on you, buddy. Sorry.
And the barrier, too. Oof.
He was dead before. Like, even if the barrier didn't get used, Cream could have snapped back, and he would have killed him with the ether damage. He did, like, all of his HP from full. That guy was dead. I'm very sorry to report. But About falling, using his barrier, which not necessarily wise in that instance. Jachi very close to getting up to his Infinity Edge as well. Just another 1,000 gold or so before he has that one. And as we mentioned, right, as soon as this game gets difficult for WE, it's over, right? They have a composition that needs to be ahead, that needs to be snowballing, or they just lose. Now, unfortunately, they're behind. They're in this position now where they do just lose, as pretty much anybody can throw themselves into WE, and nobody from WE can stop them.
Assigned losers in draft, perhaps, with Team WE's difficult to execute composition. Top Esports having a grand old time for themselves with this Baron, shoving on multiple waves here. 369, Jachi, and Feng Yue are down on the bottom side. We'll see if Team WE recognize that maybe there's an opportunity here, but they have members elsewhere. It's just a 3v3 for now as they try to handle the siege themselves. Meanwhile, Cream is going to pick up mid-tier 2 as the chokehold continues. Team WE rapidly losing ground.
Yeah, WE take notes here. This is how you use the Baron, right? They have done such a good job, Top Esports, at slowly just whittling away at these structures. You can see now double cannons coming into that bot side. A good tempered fate.
It hits multiple members here, but a big triple knockoff from Feng Yue. The equalizer goes down, and the fight is all Top Esports. Fate sealed. It gets him onto the back line. It's a double kill for Jachi. Here comes Pantheon over the top, forcing Monkey and Cube into the fountain. A little too far as the fountain laser will get one back. Monkey and Cube have to mount a defense in a 4v2. With Baroned up minions, Cube is exhausted. He's gone golden, but he's gonna fall as soon as he comes out. And it's Monkey versus the world, and the world is much too big for you. Game 1 to Top Esports.
Well, Yanni, it was close right up until the part where it really, really wasn't. And as soon as Top Esports had a stranglehold on this game, had any real luck in this game, they absolutely dominated. They end with an 11,500 gold lead here, where probably 20, 22 minutes in, they were only 1k ahead, right? And all of that stemmed from WE. You know, a good idea to try and take the Baron. Unfortunately, as soon as Top Esports look at you and see that you're doing it, you have to stop. They just didn't.
Yeah.
It cost them dearly.
Yeah, I mean, you commit the teleport to it as well. It just goes to show that you were not really in a position to even start that one up. And, you know, credit to our support, because, you know, Yao Yao did everything he could to try to keep them out, but he is but a Bard. And it's not easy for Bard to be able to do that. If he's maybe playing the Alistar, maybe he's able to play Balancer, but Bard unable to do so means that Top Esports were able to get in there, and it was close, right? That on the hunt, we talked about it in draft. We didn't really mention it all too much in game because Top Esports were doing well to get to their opponents, but that on the hunt really changed the complexion of the game and allowed Top Esports to catch up and get those 2 picks.
Yeah, and all they needed was just that, just a sniff of a way back into the game. And from there, they were chilling, right? They were so ready after the fact. They could then go and do all of these crazy things, that they could just take turrets, they could take structures. Cream had a really good performance out in that side lane, and I think, to be fair, a really good performance throughout the entire game, where a large part of the map was struggling, but I do think that Cream was able to hold his own in this matchup. Now you had a really solid showing out of that jungle as well, sort of bailing out Diachi a little bit, who in this game, maybe one errant death that we didn't quite need, but outside of that, again, as far as getting a little bit more consistent, understanding your role within the team, he did do that just a little bit better.
Yeah, the lane was pretty brutal, and I'm not sure if all of that was on him. Feng Yue did not have a good start, and with that, if I'm Team WE, I'm saying, okay, while we did not win the game, and we kind of lost it in pretty horrific fashion by going after the Baron, our bottom lane were able to really take a lot of advantage of mispositioning from Feng Yue. Let's put our rookie of the split on something a little bit more aggressive than a Jhin for game 2.
Yeah, and you know, we got to see the power of the early game Jhin. However, we then got to see the power of a rookie in playoffs, which, you know...
Let's see the power of Yone versus 80 carries.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I feel like About knows this. You know that you can't auto-attack a Yone when he's got ulti, but did it anyway, died expeditiously quickly. And that's not nearly what you would like to see. Take a quick look at that damage and in particular that gold graph. Usually we see sort of a steady increase, a gradual increase. Occasionally a massive flip-flop with slopes and peaks, but this time round...
This is the LPL after all.
20 minutes, and then the races really started to get off to for top esports.
No doubt about it, and it feels like this is a bit of a microcosm of Team WE's issues when you can't control the early game as Monkey. It's so hard to actually win, and I mean, Poppy is a pick that can do some good denials, but is very rarely going to be the one who is actively doing things early. You have to find some really creative angles, and Top Esports is going to have to make mistakes, and this is not the same Top Esports that we saw in 2025. That was largely a team that was one of the teams to beat all year. This is a team that will make more mistakes, but to me, that just means we have to put Monkey on something that can punish them harder instead of something like a Poppy that is mostly just a counter.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that Poppy definitely has the opportunity to be quite aggressive. Monkey not quite being able to exhibit that for us this time round. But there is an opportunity, obviously, for him to do some good things and to make those early plays happen. It didn't quite work out this time round, and like you say, hopefully on something that he's maybe a little bit more comfortable with, then we could end up seeing something work for them. You know, let's give him, you know, a Trundle for a little bit of a throwback for Monkey, right? What can he do on these bigger picks? Either way, though, I do want to, you know, give some credit over to Top Esports. This is that big fight that really turned it all around. This is where WE, yes, found themselves in a position where they had the Baron. Double flashes expended here by Cream, who's again had a really solid performance this game. And then for WE, just losing their heads. Can Top Esports capitalize? Yes, we know that they can. It's an absolutely core trait of theirs at this point, that they are just always able to do the bit that they need to do.
You said Cream had a good performance, but do you think it's an MVP-worthy performance? Because it feels like for Top Esports, again, a lot of what they did against JDG, just punishing mistakes, and it does mean that maybe the gameplay didn't look as impressive in terms of shining.
Yeah, I'm here for a Cream MVP. That or Nio, I think, who has a maybe slightly better shout at the MVP in my books, because I do think that this Pantheon did quite a quantity of work, was really active in the early game, really in the right positions as well when trying to get his team back into this. I think of the work that he did down on that bot side, a couple of ganks towards that Jhin, you know, maybe 3 or 4 actual successful ganks that gave Jati the way back into this match. You know, I'd be open to Nio as well. Cream, much more consistent, much more decisive through the early and mid stages of the game as well. So yeah, I think both of those contenders for me on the cards. I do think 369 not quite as active as we would like. That bot side as well, with their early game woes, maybe not quite the source that we need.
Well, if Cream did win MVP for this game, it would be his first player of the game in his last 4 series versus Team WE. That 9-7 record that we saw, Cream has underperformed in the playoff series specifically. You know, in the 4 series, he's got a 3.35 KDA, but the last 2 playoff series, he's below 3, and it was nice to see him show up and do what needed to be done. He was able to get some good split pushing in, and he will, in fact, get his first player of the game in 4 series against Team W.
And I think that's worthy. I think that has been earned here. He had a really solid laning phase, right? You have to bite the bullet early versus in Azir, but as soon as you move later on, you have to make that work happen on the side of the map. Did that really, really well. Really good fight on the bot side as well. Up against, you know, taking Jarthi out. The fight around the mid lane tier 2 turret when they were trying to defend. Burns double flash from the Jhin and Varus, and those summoner spells so crucial. So for me, well done to Cream, a valid MVP candidate.
Very, very nice. Well done to Cream, and well done to our coffee members. Speaking of coffee, if you'd like to support the LPL English project, you can consider becoming a coffee member, because coffee is the best way to support the LPL English project, because a vast majority of your contributions go directly to the show. Many of the initial payments go into upgrading the broadcast, but a huge bulk of it pays on-air talent like myself and Rooted and our content creators. If you subscribe to our coffee, which will be linked in the chat, you can unlock perks like early access to content and the ability to ask interview questions for our unique on-site interviews. With that, we're going to go ahead and take a break as the teams are going to regroup. Team WE are going to look to find their heads, and when we're back, we'll be in the Game 2 draft between Team WE and Top Esports in this Do or Die series. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back, everybody, to the LPL English broadcast after a game one that Team WE fought hard to stay in and take a lead in, and then, dude, they threw it all away, man.
Yeah. They sort of teed it up for themselves and then did a real good toss towards Top Esports, with which they caught it both arms wide open and went, oh, thank you so much for this free game in our League of Legends series. So they'll
Why
be
can't
more
my
than
ranked
happy.
games be like that?
Yeah, literally. I mean, that's just the way that we need it to go sometimes. If I'm getting Diamond back this split, that's what it needs. Anyway, with WE, I think we got to see some good things, right? We did see they can play an early game. It is possible. They can maybe find leads. I think that we got to see some pretty good things from Cube. Where it then all fell apart was that mid to late game, you know, about ending with 6 death, Cube ending with 5. These are problems. These are things that shouldn't really be happening, even in games that you're losing. You want those marksmen to be your safer parts of the board, and unfortunately for WE, they just weren't. And you know, the hope is that in the span of that little break that they've had, somebody's been able to go up to them and go, "Hey, don't die like that," and then they go, "Okay, good."
Yeah, and hopefully tell them, hey, don't stress about it. It happens sometimes. There are more games of League of Legends to play, because it is very easy to kind of lose it after something like that happens, you know, when it rains, it pours type scenario. So we'll see if Team WE are able to keep their heads. One player I was really impressed with was Yao Yao. I think Yao Yao is a guy who, at times, as I mentioned earlier, struggled to make an impact in a lot of these games. Remember earlier in the year, he had a very in-depth post about playing every game like it's his last, and he played with reckless abandon at times, really moving around, putting himself 2 levels behind in the support matchup, and really had a nice positive early game impact. I think some of the Bard ultimates left a little bit to be desired later on, but overall, I was really happy with what he did in the early game. We'll see if he can do it on another champion, because it is pretty easy to get around his Bard.
It is, and I think that, you know, when you're looking now, hopefully towards these, we'll say, more laning focused picks, right? I think that the way that support meta has gone is we might expect to see a Karma, we might expect to see something, you know, maybe more geared toward Engage as we move later on into the series. But that Yao Yao is going to need to continue to be this present force down on that bot side. Let's get our support, let's get our AD carry, our rookie of the split, to be that really big ticket player, and then put him in a position to be able to carry. That's the hope, that's the goal, and that for Yao Yao should indeed be his avenue to success. And I think in game number 1, right, that there was a good little conversation that we had about rookie of the split, the fact that About won it versus Feng Yue, who we thought, or some people thought, could have had a call for it. And I think that game number 1 started out with a really good showing of why About took it, and then it slowly turned back in favor of Feng Yue. So I am going to be keeping a little bit of an eye on that series progression as we move through.
Game 2 draft here between Top Esports and Team WE. Top Esports immediately banning the Gwen, signaling that they might want to go for a tank, maybe that Scion, and kind of continue the strategy that worked for anyone's Legend, and take the good top laners that the top laners that Cube is really good at away from him and force him onto other things. The Varus, while outside of lane, it did pretty well. In lane, very muted.
Yeah, and I could very well see this Scion just get locked in here, B1, or Red 1 even. It's not
the Scion in the bag, bro.
Yeah, not unfounded. And 369 definitely got an opportunity to pick that up for himself. Instead, going to be the Vi locked in for Nio, which to me feels a little bit early, I will say.
Yeah.
We've still got champions like Jarvan, Wukong, Trundle. There are just so many different brawler junglers that you could go for. I don't think that you needed to take the Vi this early on. For WE though, are they going to take the Gambit? Is this Scion lock immediately and then match with your jungler, or is there another solo laner that we're particularly looking for? Do you think that Corki is a really big pick down on that bot side that I'm expecting to see taken quite early? As
whoa,
this feels a little bit early in itself to be going for the Viego early doors.
Yeah, I'm just so surprised at what Team WE is doing. We have given away Vi Ahri. There's the Scion now. I mean, you know, I understand if you decided to take the Ahri, they could still play Talia, but so far, Top Esports has mogged Team WE in the first 2 drafts. I mean, honestly, I'm willing to say that Top Esports they could have 2 really bad picks in the back half and they're still winning this draft.
I mean, as long as they pick an AD carry and a support, I think they're going to be okay, which is the the really sad situation. I mean, the Gnar getting locked in here, it's a good matchup into the Scion, so Cube going to have a little bit of control through that early game once again, but we saw that 369, you know, had a rough laning phase theoretically up against the Varus in game number 1. That never really ended up being shown outside of like one instance of a 2v1 that was really badly coordinated by Top Esports. If we look at the composition though, what these two teams are looking to offer, whenever you see Viego, you think reset. So champions like Jinx, champions like Ahri are things that you want to try to take away. Now obviously the Aurora got locked in, they're expecting this to go into the mid lane regardless. So taking the Ahri isn't the biggest thing, but it does mean that the Aurora can't then be flexed up to that top side. In terms of reset marksman, you know, you've got Jinx, you've got Tristana, so those two picks, something that could get picked up here for about as a little bit of a fringe off the meta. AD carry if they wanted to go for this snowball style composition. For Top Esports though, they're full dive. Kai'Sa, yeah, there we go, needs to be banned. I like the Ash ban as well, because they've got that long range engage. It's going to be interesting to see what Top Esports look for now. This is a really decent Misfortune angle with setup from Ahri and Vi, with the Scion to stand as a frontline and try and buy space. And for Judgy, Misfortune has just been a really big pick. So I'll be interested to see whether WE try and take that away, because it is a really good upfront burst champion that does help you get those first kills.
If you take it away, I think Renata goes up pretty heavily in importance for either side. You can get a lot of great value out of an ultimate trying to either disrupt WE or Top Esports. Our setup for Viego is not really there in terms of CC. We have the setup in terms of damage. Rel does fix that up a little bit, especially with the Viego Heartbreaker, but does mean that you're leaving Misfortune on the table. We'll see what Top Esports wants to do. I again think that this Renata would be a really nice pick for them.
We'll see if that's if they're going to lean into that. I think Renata doesn't help with the dive is the only part that I disagree with. Everything else you mentioned is really good, but I don't think it synergizes nicely with the rest of their composition. Instead, they lock the Lucian, which I think pretty much confirms that they're going for something that's going to be more geared toward backlining. The Braum, again, not necessarily an amazing engaged champion, so not the worst pick, but equally a very good pick into the Rel. So I'm by no means surprised that this Lucian Braum duo does get locked in. And then if they're not going to go for the Misfortune, they are very heavily playing into the About carry instead of the Monkey carry. MF is going to be much more geared toward getting the first kills, allowing Monkey to snowball. This Azaya here enables you to play for hyper carry, play for About. He's got the ulti to get rid of cease and desist. He's now got an ability to do damage with those feathers, despite the fact that Fengyue would have been stood there with an Unbreakable. So I think it's a really good pick. It's a nice adaptation from WE, just to say, actually, if we'd have taken MF here, we'd have kind of bodied ourselves. So they take the Xayah. It's going to be something that's a little bit more flexible through the game. And it means that About can actually play versus this dive-centric team that Top Esports have got.
Hey, good for About. You're really relying on Chorus and Monkey to be this two-man unit. And Chorus is saying, hey, I'm going to burst them out with my entire combo. Monkey, it's up to you to do the rest, right? Whether you're going in and you're the first one to land the CC, or you are landing the Heartbreaker on the way out. I mean, there is just such low CC for Team WE unless you're in specific circumstances, right? You need a Gnar ultimate to be in Mega Gnar. You need a root coming out from the Xayah. And I think if those are two of your three main like CC abilities outside of Rel, that's not good enough. In a professional setting, that is not good enough. You are not going to be able to take advantage of mispositioning from the enemy with that. I'm very worried for them.
Yeah, and you know, you think about, okay, who is it that's most likely to misposition? Well, it's a Braum who's going to put up an Unbreakable and block a load of damage, or it's a Scion who can just innately take a load of damage with his W shield anyway. So, yeah, unless they catch, you know, the primary targets, which is the same case for every situation or every game, I don't really think this is going to go too well.
Game 2 of this best of 5 series, win or go home. Top Esports already up 1-0, looking to make it 2. All right. You know what? I'm willing to call it on the gyos here, honestly. If we gyro, we are gyroing far too late. Well,
yeah, exactly.
Team WE, remember that 2025 was the summer of WE. Things were looking so good for them. They finished 4th in that playoff series after beating up on top esports, but the tail end of 2025 was not the same for these guys. They fell flat. They didn't make it out of Knights Rivals, and I think there was a lot of excitement coming in for a new look WE, despite the fact that they kept Karis and Cube, which many were criticizing. You know, fair play to WE and Karis specifically, who has played a lot better to start the year. We really need to see him show up in this series.
Absolutely. I think that is a key indicator here, as you mentioned quite rightly that the two pieces of the puzzle that they kept were maybe the two pieces, or the 2 of the 3 pieces that they kept were parts that we were considering being most worth of removal or of change at the very least. So with Cube on this top side, obviously a pretty decent start to game number 1, but wasn't able to have that impact as we moved into the later stages of the game. For Karis himself, didn't feel like he was necessarily losing the game on the Azir, but did find himself occasionally caught by a tempered fate, did find himself unable to be as successful with those Azir shuffles as he might have liked. And you look at the pieces that they bought in, well, about 1 rookie of the split. So again, clearly they picked some good pieces to try and go for. And Taeyun finding his way to the LCK will be missed. So we will see if WE can right these wrongs as we move into the rest of this playoffs. A reminder that every time these two teams have played since 2025, it's gone the distance, right? Split 2 playoffs went the distance. Split 1 of the play-ins for this, again, full best of 5, and then even the best of 1s through the back half of 2025 as well. Both best of 3s going to 3 games.
See if Team WE is able to keep that trend up. Down on the bottom side, looking a lot better for top esports this time around. And, that's no shade against WE. You're going up against Lucian Braum, which is very difficult. Karis with some nice sidestepping there as Monkey is going to look to take advantage of the opportunity. Great job there by Monkey, and he gets first blood.
Yeah, not sure if that was a predicted flash by Monkey or whether Cream just kind of flashed into the back of that stun. Monkey's able to find himself Crab on the bot side, gank into the mid lane as well, and 400 gold immediately up over his counterpart. Cream there. If he'd hit that charm, might have been a solo kill. If he misses it, he then dies.
Yep, that's just the dichotomy of how Lee can go sometimes, especially when you are up so far and aggressive. An early miscue from Cream resulting in the worst nightmare for top esports. Now let's see how Monkey can push the pace of this game. Remember, you're relying on him to get a lot of this initial CC off. Without the flash, it does mean that it's going to be a little bit harder if he wants to try to make a play.
It is, but this is one of Monkey's sort of go-to pocket picks as well. I mean, it feels like he's got a lot of them between Trundle, Wukong, and now this Viego. But this is a pick that we've seen him, yeah, exactly, that we've seen him pilot a good couple of times before that nobody particularly in the LPL is looking towards. So there is that element of, well, does somebody know? But now on this bot side, is he going to know?
Oh no, he's not a knower, and he is going to fall. Just like the chicken camp, Nio picks up that one, and we'll get his chickens too.
No flash, so this Viego absolutely homeless there as a really quick little roam from Fongyue, and Nio does give over. Very nice kill and a really good way to disrupt this Viego from finding that early game snowball. Now you can see on this bot side, credit to Jiachi this time, doesn't fall while his support is making plays happen. But this is once again an iteration of support and jungle going blow for blow and making sure that as a duo they can make things happen. Level 6 hit for Cube.
Okay, Sion ultimate to disrupt, but Cube is going to pull him back in. He's going to miss that Q, get knocked up on the backside here. 369 says, I'm ready to fancy a fight. We'll shield up, but walk away. We saw an on-the-way ping from Team WE onto that dragon, and we're seeing another one here. It looks like Monkey wants to pick this one up, aware that Nio is up in this top side. This does mean that if Cube sticks around...
He's got no flash. He has got flash, but he's got no vision in this brush.
Oh, Cube! So. Cube! Brother Cube, what are we doing? They've solved the Rubik's Cube early on.
And again, this is another iteration of WE getting dragons down on the bot side, Cube not respecting that he's the weak side, and does end up falling. It's not even like he's, you know, doing super well on this top side. He was down 10 CS anyway. 369 able to catch the majority of that wave, then push this one in. He's going to get a free reset without using that teleport. He doesn't have it available to do so, so this is a really easy time for him to go back to base. Looks like he's working towards that frozen heart, and for 369, that is going to make a massive deal of this Nars damage output, right? Look at the damage that the Cube has built. He's got a Doran's Blade, a Cull, and then an extra long sword, where for 369 he's got a bunch of armor already, and he's even working towards some boots to be that little bit more nifty.
I think the worst part about that particular play is there is not really any late game scaling on either side that we're really worried about. So these dragons are going to be contested moving forward after this first one. You really want to be able to get as many of them as you can cleanly. Another kill going over to Nio means that he's going to be a little bit faster to that Sundered Sky to be able to try and sustain through for these fights. We're sending the top esports bottom lane up top, so a delayed lane swap 7 minutes into the game here as Nio is going to steal away Monkey's blue.
Yeah, and in lieu of these attendees spawning up on the top side, the Void Grubs will be up in about 50 seconds time. It looks like top esports are looking to put their powerful pieces on this top side of the map, ensure that we are able to secure those for themselves, and make sure that WE, having taken that early dragon, can't go for complete neutral game dominion through the early stages of this match. Both of our junglers actually, the two people to have kills on the board, making the most of their showcases through the early stages of this game. Obviously with a quick pick into the jungle for Nio and Fongyue as a good culling comes out as well. He's going to chunk out Yao Yao and Cube. No TP available for the Mini-Gnar, so he's going to have to take a long road back to this top lane once again. That's the second time that he's been forced to base with no TP, not able to push the wave in, and will find himself in trouble.
And this is so huge for Jotchi, right? I mean, we're talking about a scenario where it's going to be difficult as Lucian Brum to get some of these kills on About and Yao Yao because they're going to play a little bit safer. So anytime that you can say, hey, we're going to shove out this top laner and be able to try and squeeze out any plates that we can, really, really good to make sure that your Lucian is strong enough in the mid game to dominate mid lane waves.
Yeah, and let's just take a look a little bit at what actually the difference in these top laners is. Because as we look at that bot side, 369 knows that he's not the point of the map that has control. And Cream as well, fancy feet.
Oh, the charm is there,
so
and he
good.
dodges as well. Cream does have 2 charges left of that ultimate if he wants it. Meanwhile, Nio is going to get shoved out. Cube says, hey, let's fight. Fongyue down to half HP, but guess what? Nio is going to be ready to rejoin shortly as Jotchi is auto-attacking away. Good ultimate from Cube. The interrupt is going to come through with that cease and desist, and it makes it a 1-for-1 for now. Jotchi's going to dash away as Yao Yao's on his horse and is headed for the next one. There's that between worlds. Nio gets pulled in, forced to flash away. It's the weirding. Nio can't really get away. The Heartbreaker there. Jotchi going to be able to get under the turret. Team WE get a couple kills back.
Yeah, a couple of missteps there by Top Esports. It was a 2-for-1 in favor of WE. Top Esports do take the grubs. Do you think that Nio could have got out there, had his flash the whole time? If he'd have channeled his Q or flashed first then channeled Q, he'd have been able to get away from the Magnet Storm, but ends up falling there regardless. And again, I actually think that if we actually see Nio commit there, Cube probably just falls a lot earlier. Instead, he has to walk all the way round. He lets his Vault Breaker run out, which does end up costing his support's life.
Picture in picture. We are going after About.
Goodbye.
He is under the turret. The barrier is there, pulling back the feathers, but that is not enough. Great balancing of turret shots there from Fongyue and 369.
Yeah, Winter's Bite there, necessary from Fongyue to snipe the kill out, but definitely still quite funny just to see a Q from downtown as About did pretty much everything he could do to try and get away from there. Uses every summoner spell plus his ulti. Unfortunately, still does go down, and you know the Scion Braum duo proving to be the massive hell for leather power punch that maybe Top Esports need in this instance. It's that Frozen Heart being finished already for 369, so Cube is going to struggle. Get a little bit of a look at how this happened to begin with. Looks like he just spotted it. Yeah, ulti lands. Okay.
Hey, he said, you know what? I'm going to go home. You know what? I'll go pick up my about kill real quick, and this is what happens when you leave an AD carry on an island sometimes. Yeah. All right, Dragon is coming up in 5 seconds. Top Esports already in position here on this bottom side. Cream has the inside track here in the mid lane on top of it. Oh, if Top Esports wants it, the world is their oyster. Nio is going to be one that started up, but Team WE are always willing to fight for objectives.
They are. Now, as a contrast to game number 1, I actually think that WE are going to be scaling that a little bit better into the mid and to the late game. So giving up a Dragon, not the worst thing in the world. I do think that it's Top Esports who are a little bit pressured by time to try and make something happen here. Given that they've got this Lucian, very difficult champion to navigate during the late stages of the game. Fengyue, hello, not an engaged champion. Can't just be ripping those and expecting them to connect. Now WE are going to look for a response.
It's a big cooldown. Yeah. Well, Yao Yao is caught right now. And he's going to get that Magnet Storm down, but it's not going to do a whole lot. Now they turn onto About. Well, About has no ultimate to speak of. And it's another disaster fight. Top Esports pick up 2 more.
I mean, that is not good. By the WE bot lane, I'm going to be honest. Yao Yao gets deer in the headlights as he sees so many people so close to one another and thinks, should I engage? Can I engage? Should I engage? Can I engage? And then by the time that he decides to do anything, he's already died. So now in the mid lane, Cream needs to be careful.
Between worlds, Karis got charmed up. Cream has no mana left. Will use his last charge to try to escape. And he will successfully get out.
Okay, Karis uses his flash there, but I think if he plays that a little bit more slowly, you can get Monkey in or not have to burn your flash at the very least to get out. A couple of really bad missteps from WE here is costing them very dearly. Now a 3,000 gold lead opened up just after that Dragon goes, and I mean, they spot him, but...
All right, Cream getting the charm. Nio out of the brush. He had the item that says my jungler shows up to save the day. And Monkey falls for the second time. Nio is 5-1.
Now, again, Top Esports have got to continue snowballing here, but at this rate, they should be able to look to close this game out as well with first items already on the board across this entire roster. You're expecting this to very quickly become this snowball into a Rift Herald in 2 minutes. They've kind of rolled a Cloud Soul, which, you know, for me always still feels like a little bit of a low roll, but it does mean you can get around the map that little bit faster. I do think that slow resistance versus Narcus is going to be something to be considerate for. I mean, it's not going to be completely game-changing, but you can see how for 369, with all of this AD that he's built up, 1 Q and an auto attack is able to take half of Cube's mini Gnar HP.
We are 13.5 minutes into this game, Rudude, and it is a 3,500 gold lead for Top Esports. They have punished every single one of Team WE's flaws. Their flaws have been well on display for a long time. About is getting called down to low HP. And again, their willingness to fight all the time really bites them in the behind, and has done so here in game 2.
You know, situations like this, I find it better to be positive. He's going to force the ulti out. Okay, never mind. But barrier and locket being used. Paris.
Yeah, he's got no flash. He's got Between Worlds. Gets a little bit of extra damage back onto Cream, so foils a gank attempt. Yao Yao on
failing.
He's on an island. We'll stun up Fengyue. Monkey is here. And we are between the turrets. We want to go for this. Magnet Storm is there. Heartbreaker takes out Fengyue. Jauchi has to kite back toward his jungler. There's the flash. They mark him up. They stun him up, and they take him down. Karis with the shutdown.
Yeah, you know, after Yao Yao and About just decided to toss their lives around the Dragon, Jauchi and Fengyue decided that they do the same. It felt like Fengyue was really leading that, and Jauchi wasn't fully on board. By the time that Jauchi decided to do damage, his support had already died. There was already a reset, and that then meant that the play was already over. Monkey able to capitalize, though, gets 2, honestly, relatively free kills. And we'll get to see whether or not they can continue with this.
I know these bot lanes are similar, Rudu, but that's not exactly what I meant by that. Rift Herald spawning here for Top Esports to take if they want it, but it looks like not. Okay, I was waiting there trying to determine what he wanted to do. Instead, that means it'll be a pretty free take as Monkey's on the bot side continuing to farm. We do see a lot of on-the-way pings on the top side, though.
I do like this Proto Belt from Karis, again, up against a team that is quite dive-oriented. That extra little bit of mobility could work quite well for him to just get away from a VIQ. Maybe just do a little bit extra work in terms of escaping a dangerous situation. But you can see here down on the bot side, 369 very, very close to being able to take down this whole turret. He can stand and face tank Cube, who does now have that Trinity Force, which is going to be a pretty big deal. But I think until you've got that Black Cleaver, we're not expecting great things.
Well, that's a flash out of Cube with that Scion ultimate, and Top Esports descending like a pack of wolves. The turret's going to go down, and Cube is going to be the next target. He's going to land 2 with his ultimate, but Cream's charm, it's just too much for Cube to handle. It's just a matter of what can Team WE get while he goes down.
So some plates in the mid lane. They are going to get plates on that top side as well. Jiachi able to get a little bit of gold from that mid lane wave. I do think that WE obviously losing out their top lane are never great, but this is a situation they found themselves in many times before. Anything extra remains to be seen. Karis gets hit.
Didn't get that last auto attack off the stun Karis before the culling started, so Jiachi missing out on a lot of damage there. Rift Herald going to get spawned up while the dragon being done by Nio, so this should be able to battering ram down the mid-tier 1 turret as Top Esports continues to make proactive plays around the map. Meanwhile, 369 versus Monkey for the moment. He's going to turn around and land a knock-up and not actually get rooted. What do you want to do with 369? You're just going to mean mug him down.
Yeah, and genuinely just like one step back, dodges out on the W from the Viego. Summon a heal expended by Fongyu there. Does have spellbook, so it doesn't really matter if he burns a summon a spell because he can just swap to something else nice and easily and then have different utility ready and available there. But Dragon gets picked up, mid-tier 1 turret gets picked up, and this is all a sequence of plays based on that pick on Cube down on that bot side. Yes, the initial response was good from WE, but they then had to respond to Top Esports. It was this constant game of chess that ultimately Top Esports had the last move in, and that they were able to find something pretty decent out of. 369 committing quite deep into the bot lane here. He's going to have to walk back before he can collect the experience for these creeps, but overall, good to go fishing. Unfortunately, didn't find an R.
Things with around the 18-minute mark of this game, things have slowed down a little bit for Top Esports.
I do not
really want to go attack 369. Doesn't seem like it, but they're going to try and force this one. They do get the flash out of 369 just to be safe, but you need to start getting kills anyways.
Yeah, now Monkey is 2 items on this Viego here. Crack and Slayer finished, plus Sundered Sky. Now, back when we first had these 2 items put in together, couldn't tell them apart. Fortunately, we've had a little bit of time. There is a distinct difference between them. Hasn't stopped Monkey from building both of them, though, as Cube going to walk up, probably hop away, as he takes 1 extra plate. But again, it is Top Esports who need to push the pace of this game. They've got a 3k gold lead, which in the current season feels actually like quite a lot, and like you should really be quite advantageous with the Jiachi with 2 full items as well.
Okay, Yao Yao looking for that engage, and it's a pretty damn big one. Teleports are going to be coming in, but Yao Yao's going to be the first to fall. Culling going to come down as well. About's going to drop his ultimate. Cube is in the middle of everybody, but he's a very baby Gnar. He's a tiny boy, and he goes down. He's not able to take out Jiachi. Karis is going to have to retreat to the safety of his top turret, but Cream is ready to run him down. He will not land the charm. And Karis is on an island. Meanwhile, Nio and 369 are fighting. Monkey trying to heal up as best he can. Heartbreaker lands, and Monkey is going to be able to get the reset without getting the kill. 369 going to be the next target as Karis shows up using that proto belt, putting it to good use. 369 falls, and Monkey's going to take him over too. Fongyu is on just a sliver. We are Viegoing. There's another one. Monkey moving forward. Tags up Jiachi. He's stunned, looking for more. Right into a charm. The turnaround, and Monkey is still alive. Karis is on a sliver, and Top Esports can't close out the kills.
Looked like a pentakill, but Jiachi and Cream say no. A great charm on the landing there saves this duo from falling. You know, if he repossesses the Lucian body, you have to expect that Cream has to fall, at the very least burns his flash as well. We know that Viego's a champion that can absolutely chase over walls. But Top Esports here starts off actually quite good for them, despite the fact that Yao Yao lands this 3-man engage. Where's the damage? About's hit, and look what he's wailing into. He's got an Unbreakable in his face. He gets down 1 or 2 autos before he has to back away from a TP. And what actually happens here is Top Esports win on the top side of this fight. But then 369 and Nio just chase way too deep. They get About's flash, but stick around far too long. It actually gives time for Monkey to swing this back around. A slightly poorly positioned Q from 369 does cost them dearly, because it allows Monkey to just go back in. And then we start to see these resets coming through. That 2-item Viego putting in work. He's the one getting these bonus damages down and able to chase on further and further. Flash Heartbreaker finds another one. You can see that here, look at the landing for Cream. Spots where the ulti's coming down, charm immediately. This saves the play, and honestly, they're very unlucky not to find a little bit more. If that W had have connected in time before the Summoner Heal comes through, then they take down one and can maybe turn onto About as well. I think that this game now just got a lot closer, and again, with the burden being on Top Esports to be the team to push this game to the end, it does bode well for WE.
A really great sequence by Yao Yao for that engage, but also that lock-in at the end to save Karis. Now Team WE might be looking for a dive opportunity 30 seconds before the Dragon is coming up, but 369 is able to clear out that minion wave. One thing I wanted to talk about is the overextension from Top Esports was very Team WE-esque, and perhaps we're making more aggressive moves here as Cream is teleported into the WE jungle on the bottom side. They want to get this soul point for themselves.
Yeah, and I think that they're an early Elder, while they've still got a gold lead, and I say early Elder, it's going to be 30 minutes or so before it actually spawns up, but it is maybe the best that they can hope for. They kind of need to keep this gold lead, and you can see now that Cream is sort of investing in that with the Magi Soul Stealer here. Only 5 stacks, but feels like they know that this next fight is going to be do or die. WE, we've been here before. Now Naya doesn't have a great big global ulti to get there.
And this teleport that screams, guys, we're doing the Baron, we're doing the Baron. They do it again. Now it's 369 all alone. Monkey peels off. About and Cube are still hitting this thing, though. Feng Yue is coming here to cut off. And here's the rest of Top Esports. They still have a turnover on the top side due Team WE. And now they're grouped up on the top side of the river here. Team WE should be able to walk away, but Top Esports have the inside track toward this mid lane.
You need to be careful that they don't get caught out here. They spot WE recalling, but he needs to be careful not to dash his way into all 4 members. They're currently just buying time, waiting.
Anyway, stunned up. Io's here, but it looks like they'll think better of it and head to the crab. What a weird sequence.
Yeah, just waiting for Diachi to find that tier 2 turret in the mid lane. I mean, the map does feel a little bit weird, like you say. WE still have this tier 1 turret to try and retreat back to, which gives them a pretty good bastion to rally behind. I think that Top Esports do need to try and work that one down. It looks like that's the next play here. You can see 5 members strong on that top side whilst they'll be committing to the bot lane.
Has his ultimate, it's going to go over the wall. Yao Yao going to be the first one targeted. Another charm that doesn't land. Pulling everybody in with a Magnet Storm, but Yao Yao will fall regardless.
So they'll take this tier 1 turret on the top side. They're TPing down to the bot lane as well to hopefully stop Cube from taking this. And the great big TP shield, you would expect him to be prevented, but it does just mean that WE say, well, you've left your mid lane undefended. Fellows, we will be taking that one instead. And now actually Top Esports going for a big commit themselves as a return TP from Feng Yue. Thought they were going to try and commit a little bit more heavily towards that tier 2 turret. Not going to be the case, as they'll steal a blue buff on the way out. But I do think, Yanni, we've got into the weeds a little bit here. We've got quite sloppy, a little bit messy in this current situation, and Top Esports going to need to wrestle back some control. They have re-amounted a bit of a gold lead here, back up to 3,500 gold, but I think that Baron is going to need to be the next objective with 3 minutes still on the board before their soul spawns. They're going to need to make something happen before then.
The big undertone for that entire sequence, Monkey lost his entire top side. He's down about 1,000 gold to Nio, and by this point in the game, you would hope that your Viego has more farm than the Vi, that the Vi's the one moving around and making plays happen, but it's been both for Nio. He's played a really solid Vi game after getting that early lead. Anything that you can do to keep Monkey behind is huge. Good interrupt there from Karis as Cream is tagged up, and he's got no ultimate now, so Team WE are going to have a member advantage for the moment.
Yeah, but what can they actually do with this, right? There's no objective on the board other than that Baron, as Diachi actually forces About's ulti in the mid lane here. Looks like the culling did a good amount of work. It's Infinity Edge already picked up for Diachi, and in the current iteration of AD carry, we're seeing a lot of our marksmen need to build toward a last whisper before they can finish off that Infinity Edge. You can see About does this time round, so Mortal Reminder picked up, so we might be able to get through the Scion that little bit quicker. Black Cleaver has been finished for Cube as well, so there's a little bit of hope there that if the Scion is caught out, that maybe between Monkey and About they can cut through this Scion. Picture in picture is what happened in your mid lane. Yeah, Culling just doing a lot of work and does force the ulti out of About.
Cube unable to stop the rampage of 369, 1-4-1. It's a guy that was a big problem for Team WE in their last series. We have yet to see him do much of anything. He needs to step up. Speaking of stepping up, it's time for Top Esports to step up to the plate. We're dividing multiple members of Team WE. Monkey is going to get targeted out. Charmed up, big damage. He is locked up, and they throw away the key. And over the top, Jachi getting on the back line, flashes over the wall. Karis is going to be able to take him out, but also finds himself in a lot of trouble. He goes golden, but Top Esports begins to descend. He'll flash over the wall. Feng Yue still alive for the moment, but about's able to clean him up, flashes away from a charge. Karis breaks some ankles, but he's on a ward, and that's bad news for the Team WE mid laner. Can he lead them on a wild goose chase? Can he break their ankles one more time? Okay. Okay. Nio has realized the jig is up. I got you, don't worry.
As funny as that all is, that probably saves the Baron, I'm going to be honest. I think if they kill the Aurora super early, it means that they can just walk straight to the Baron. The fact that they take so long chasing her down does mean that Monkey has respawned. So overall, as daft as that looks, that's a really big performance from Karis to actually save the play here. As Monkey gets absolutely isolated, Feng Yue decides you are going to die, gets hit by the charm. Once the charm times out, there's an auto attack from Braum. Once that stun times out, in comes Vi from downtown to sweep you up. Jachi goes absolutely ludicrous on the backside alongside Cream, and they both do an astronomical amount of work. Look at this fight though down on live. This is the soul for Top Esports if they can find it.
Cube is halfway to Meganar. He really needs to get there. Dragon's going to be started up. He needs to start hitting that. Teleport's going to be coming in from Karis. His Team WE are going to come in through the bot side. Cube is still trying to determine where he needs to go. He is running out of Narbar. He needs to start stacking that up. He's going to hop over, head to the back of the pit, start tagging up Nio. Nio looking for a big target, and they blow up Team WE in an instant. About has to head for the hills. Karis is dead. Cube isn't able to do a damn thing on the back line either, as Jachi is low, but he survives. Top Esports aces Team WE.
And they'll get the soul off the back of it as well. Here, Yanni, maybe a push up to the top side. A clean 5-4-0 ace. And the Baron is on the menu as well. They'll push in bot side. They'll push in the mid lane. And then they're going to look to two-man the Baron as well. They are looking to have their cake, eat it, and then force the remnants of whatever comes out the other side down the throats of WE.
That was graphic. I mean, I guess that's a great analogy.
I mean, what did they just do? They just 5-4-0'd them.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a great analogy of what happened in this last fight. And I mean, again, a scenario where Cube is not able to make his impact known. Take a look at this replay, where he is compared to everyone else. And look at what Cream does. Cream is so good.
The idea that Karis is marking an Ahri, it just doesn't exist. He's quite easily able to hop over the wall. And now Karis, he's got no spells, so he proto belts, he ultis, and by the time his next Q comes back up, he's already died. About, does as much as he can, but Cream managing to land that charm in a pivotal moment does keep himself ready from it. And I think that from here, Top Esports, right, they were in a position where they needed to push the pace of the game. They have now found their soul, they have found Baron, and as long as they close this game out, they should be absolutely fine. Send us to a 2-0 to begin with. WE just haven't quite been able to find their feet in this series just yet. Looks like they're going to have one game or so more to be able to do it, but this is what I'm talking about. Let's look at the damage that the cannon minions are doing, let alone anything else.
Cream drops his ultimate down. Yao Yao is low. Yao Yao is dead. About has to use his ultimate defensively as Karis is getting crit. Top Esports are shredding the base. Meanwhile, hold on, Cube is just going to die to Nio and 369. That's it. Yeah. That's game.
And as long as they can close out, that's exactly what they've done here, Yanni.
Okay, oh my goodness!
Headshots.
About gets slammed by 369, and Team WE gets slammed by Top Esports here in Game 2. Match point to Top Esports.
And this match ends 14,000 gold in the lead for Top Esports. There was no close early game. There was no close mid game really this time round for Top Esports. It was just all Top Esports from the very get-go. An absolute demolition as they moved with purpose, with ease around Summoner's Rift and never really gave an opportunity to WE.
I'd like to make an early apology, rude dude. I thought you were crazy when you said it was going to be 3-1 Top Esports. I
Well,
thought
hold on
for sure. Listen, I'm trying to make my prediction come true. All right. I thought for sure that this was going to go 5, but realistically, to be very serious and have a frank discussion about it, well, these Team WE drafts are just very difficult to execute, and they're not a team that is on that level quite yet. You've been playing in Group Perseverance the entire first split, and Group Perseverance wasn't bad by any means. NIP and EDG certainly showed they were a team that, had strengths and, exposable weaknesses, but it's not like we're playing in Group Ascend. We are playing against the best of the best like Top Esports was, and compared to the last series, I mean, Top Esports are making it look easy, and it very much looks like they've taken the lessons that they learned from the first time playing against Team WE and their match against JDG, and are really putting it into action here in this best of 5.
Yeah, one of our points coming into this was that Top Esports were really good at punishing when a team made a mistake, and that's kind of how they won game number 1. But game number 2, far from it, right? Like the WE, again, they fished around a Baron a little bit, but they peeled off within enough time that it wasn't a terminal Giga throw. This time round, it was Top Esports just meticulously working their way through the game, making sure that they were finding themselves in the right spots and getting those advantages as and when they needed to. Slowly pushing the pace of the game that little bit quicker, and I really like that for them. It shows that there's that element of growth here, that they're not just capitalizing on their enemies' downfalls, and that actually they're able to generate advantages for themselves.
Right, you are, and I was really impressed with the bot lane. Obviously, Jachi and Feng Yue are going to have a bit of an easier time because they're on the Lucian Braum pairing, but Feng Yue moved around pretty good in this particular game. And, again, for bot lanes that were saying, hey, we need to see them make an impact, the one player I didn't see make an impact out of this bot lane was About, and it is very difficult for About to get a lot done in this particular draft. Obviously, he's got this eye to protect himself against the Vi, but he didn't really have to use it for the Vi because he was just such a small fry target that they didn't care.
And I think as well, it's important to remember that a large amount of those times, his ulti was getting burned by Jachi, who in this game felt like an absolute menace on the Lucian, was very frequently a point of concern. If I'm looking at this from the perspective of a WE player, and in particular from the perspective of About, he was constantly getting his ulti burned just in 1v1s on mid lane. And those have been the problems of Diachi, is that he looks for these mid lane plays, but in an instance where you're ahead, where your team are backing you up, it works out for him, and you're absolutely able to find those picks, to look for the ultis early on, and do what exactly happened in this game.
There are so many problems for Team WE right now. The car that cannot get started, they tried to turn the ignition and the entire dash just lit up with problems here today. They need to fix these problems very, very quickly. I've been very disappointed by our solo laners in this series so far on the side of Team WE. I don't think Karis made much of an impact in this game.
No.
Scoreline looked fine, but he kept himself out of danger most of the time. So I'm not putting any stock into that, but Cube especially, I mean, has been really brutal, and I hate to go and really go after players, but I mean, we are teleporting as small boy Gnar in the middle of 5 people. What are we doing?
Making poor decisions, I think, is the only way we can answer that question. Sometimes that's going to happen here. I do want to, give the little bit of credit over to the players on WE that do deserve it. I think this is going to be a great little montage for it as well. Monkey had a tough time of things just because Nio was doing so much work on the map, and despite all of that, he's still able to find a triple kill in this top side fight, really look to capitalize quite aggressively on some of the mispositionings. But then as soon as this fight is sort of recognized, you can see, okay, WE now are a monkey show. We need to kill this Viego, or we might struggle. As soon as they do that, the fight is just so easy from there.
And you see Cube show up, immediately get locked up, isn't able to get any value out of this teleport here. I mean, this is just a continuing trend that, I mean, good on good on Top Esports for marking that and being well aware of that. We saw this replay very recently, a nice play by Cream to just outplay Karis, and that's kind of been the name of the series. It's the solo laners of Top Esports outplaying the solo laners of Team WE so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit, not necessarily sad to say, but sort of in expectation. We were saying,
Disappointing.
Top Esports with Cream in particular, we were looking at him to see if he can continue his step up, continue this third team All-Pro ballot that he won and proved to be that good. I think that game number 1, obviously he earned the MVP. Game number 2 here on the RE, maybe not quite worthy of the MVP performance, but there were a couple of charms that went wide. It wasn't for a fault of his own that he's not going to win this. He just wasn't the best player on his team this time round. Many more pieces, and I think that Judgy actually this time round, my vote, my nod to the MVP, because he was just doing so much work, getting about caught out, making his life as pretty much difficult as possible, and then moving through the rest of the game without really any difficulty.
Interesting. I think I'd vote for Nio before I voted for Judgy, but I definitely think Judgy is a good shout. I would certainly not be upset to see him get votes, but I think Nio kind of ran over this early game, and he does have a pretty easy assignment on the Vi. Hey, go hit the priority target. Go drop your R on top of Viego and call it a day. It's exactly what he did. He's got the pretty score line to show for it as well. 13-2-8, your player of the game, as he was able to lead Top Esports to a Game 2 victory. Rudude, backs are against the wall for Team WE. Top Esports is one game away from keeping themselves alive in playoffs, and maybe their hopes to stay alive for another first stand berth. Team WE, they have to wake up. We're going to go and take a break. It could be our last break of the night, Rudude, as we will be back. Top Esports Team WE draft for Game 3 coming at you after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the LPL English broadcast. Top Esports getting another game off Team WE, this time in far less dramatic fashion. Mistakes were kept to a minimum for Top Esports. Still had a couple. Really looking for them to clean that up here in Game 3 to close out a 3-0 series. I think would do wonders for not only their confidence, but just to show how far they've come as a team since their 1-4 start in Group Ascend. And meanwhile, for Team WE, they have to show us something.
They do, and I think that's what we're missing so far, is their ability to do pretty much anything in this series. Yes, again, oh boy, have they been able to hold their own in game number 1 of an early game, and maybe Monkey has been performing well enough to show us life from this roster. But what I'm concerned about is that from the regular season, Top Esports felt like a bottom half of the Ascend teams grouping, and if they can't really manage anything up against Top Esports, yes, they've done it previously where they found a 3-2 series. Now they're down an 0-2, and it feels like this is maybe just the time that Top Esports have got the read, they've got their number. And for me, it has felt like Top Esports are a better than bottom half team on their day. On their given day, they actually can come together, and I think Jarchi has got the mechanics. I think that Fengyue has got the map knowledge to be able to compete, and when he's playing well, Nio as well, not a player that we would be worried about seeing in those top contests. But it's that consistency for Top Esports which really plagues me. Either way, the fact that WE haven't found anything like that is the problem.
Yeah, I think that Top Esports is a really good litmus test for Team WE, because remember, they are going to be in Group Ascent for Split 2, but this is a Top Esports team that, as we've said, very different from their 2025 counterpart, with changes in the jungle and the bot lane as a whole. We know that Jackie Love is looking to come back at some point. Obviously, with his medical situation, we're not entirely sure. It's not guaranteed that he'll be back for Split 2 or anything like that, but it's looking fairly likely. So we know that Jachi's on borrowed time, so to speak, on Top Esports. But I mean, this is just a depowered Top Esports, we'll call it, from 2025, and Team WE showed that they were able to push them to 5 and be like, okay, maybe this Team WE squad, if they're able to win against Top Esports, maybe they're the new 5th place team in Group Ascent. And right now, it looks like they gotta hope that Group Perseverance makes a comeback in Split 2, and they gotta get sent back there. We don't even have Group Perseverance in Split 2.
Exactly. So it's not looking good for WE. To put a very fine point on it, we would expect there to be some adaptations, some very strong adaptations as well. I did want to quickly call out this Akali pick as well. Feels like when the chips are down, this might be something that WE would revert to and try and get their hands on. But it has been banned here in game number 3, and the issue with leaving it open is that Cream as well, quite the proficient Akali player, I was expecting it to be relatively sought after between these two mid laners, and with Orianna banned away as well. No surprises to see that the Akali gets taken out the board as well. The Nico, though, getting banned on this first rotation doesn't really call for any surprises, but we're looking back toward those junglers. Jarvan does get taken off the board, so we'll see what the first pick here is, and with that not being banned, Rise gets taken for Karis.
All I'm saying is now we want a first pick after our top laners' 2 best champions have been taken off the board. Now, it's just, did they not look at the graphic that we had earlier, Rude Dude? I mean, they should have been paying attention.
They have not solved the Rubik's Cube.
No, they have not. And now we're getting Nio on one of those proactive early game junglers that has a little bit of CC. We're getting the Cassiopeia into the Rise as well. Top Esports with a great start to their draft.
Yep, common counter. We've seen Cassio, we've seen Anivia. I feel like the Cassio just gives a little bit more agency in the late game, a little bit more ability to be a carry. Obviously much more susceptible if you end up getting caught out by a route from the Rise. That is then problematic, but Ezreal Karma getting locked in for WE does give them control of that bot side. I think that both of these bot lanes have gone to and fro. They really have been battling it out, and we saw game 1 be quite advantageous for About and Yao Yao. Game 2 quite advantageous for Tiachi and Fengyue. Answer to enchanters typically are those hard engaged supports that have the all-in capabilities. We saw the hover for the Blitzcrank. It's going to be the Nautilus locked in for Fengyue, and what is already a relatively skirmish-oriented composition. It's got some good backup into the late game for the Cassiopeia. Looking again at this Kai'Sa, is Diachi going to look to try and take this pick for himself as one of the picks that he made his name on the RNG roster back at the beginning of 2025. The Diachi Kai'Sa moments were, you know, giving shades of Uzi from way back when on that RNG squad, but whether or not that ends up making its way through this draft, we will wait and see.
And if I'm Team WE, I'm pretty happy with that Nautilus lock-in. And the reason why is you've already shown Fengyue that sometimes you will struggle early in lane. You've going up against the double poke bot lane does mean that About and Yao Yao may have opportunities to try and take advantage of some mispositionings. I like Team WE's idea of trying to ban out some strong AD carries. I thought that even Misfortune would work out pretty perfectly here. They did too. We'll take it away. Again, we'll see if that Kai'Sa is taken off the board. A couple of junglers eaten at the pool of Monkey here. Olaf and Trundle are gone.
I don't mind that. Let's see what it is that Monkey can dip into to try and take this into the next level. We'll see what Top Esports going to pick on their AD carry as well. They've taken both of those high prio marksmen out of contention. Diachi's Kai'Sa and Misfortune have been removed, so it's going to be something a little bit lower down in at least his priority pool. Still have things, you know, quite common. I was looking at things like the Corki as an answer. Does give you some good early game control and an ability to at least fight back using that Phosphorus Bomb, such a powerful spell.
We'll see if they want to go for the Ashe here. I was thinking the Corki as well. I thought that would have been a really nice pick, but they'll instead go for Ashe, indexing into a little bit more CC, realizing that the lane may just be forfeit when you are up against Karma and Ezreal. We are hovering Lee Sin. Surely we are not going to lock in Lee Sin. I mean, you could always go and kick away the Xin Zhao, right?
Could do. Don't know that that's going to be your route to success, though, this game round. As Cube does looking to tank on that top side now. Gwen hasn't been banned, and 369 could look to take that for himself. It gives you the circles of Nope as well if you do lock that in. And we'll see what it is that WE round out in that jungle pool. Monkey goes for the Jace here, so looking to play this poke style comp. Karma, Ezreal, and the Jace going to be looking to poke you out from afar. I wonder if this then just resorts back to a sort of sustained, focused top lane. You need to find some sort of all-in here as Top Esports. You know, you have to go forward before you get poked out. You've got the engage of a Nautilus, but I don't know if that's going to be quite enough to make this stick. You need some more true engage. That feels a little bit better. Taking the Ornn for 369. Let's get a way to start these fights going before we get poked out.
So I think a lot of heavy lifting is going to be on Karis this game, because you've got a lot of this poke, right? Well, how are you going to be able to finish these kills off? You're going to have to realm warp yourself into some pretty precarious positions to try and snipe off a couple of kills. There's not much CC in the way of Team WE. You're relying on Yao Yao to speed you up using Shurelya's, using that empowered E. Other than that, all out in Rune Prison are your CC on Team WE and Karma Tether, but let's be real, that seems a little fake. And Top Esports, Nio and Cream, listen, it's their show. It's their world. The rest of Top Esports are just living in it. It's up to those two to be the dynamic duo that carries Top Esports to a 3-0.
Yeah, I wonder if this bot lane is going to be able to hang as Top Esports, right? You're playing up against Ezreal Karma. I think if you land that early hook, you have to commit to an all-in. That's the rule here for the Nautilus. If you go for one hook and then try to back away in the time that you're backing out, you're sacrificing so much HP from the Ezreal, from the Karma. You kind of have to go hell for leather and look for that play, that all-in from the get-go. Whether it's level 1, whether it's level 3, when you've got access to all of those spells, we will wait and see. But I think that Top Esports, with this Ashe as well, you've got so much chase down with the permanent slow on those auto-attacks to make this chase work, to make this possibility on the bot side of a complete systematic sweep.
I think the big key for Team WE is you need to get Monkey ahead early, especially on this Jace. We need to see this poke come in hot and heavy. I want to see 15 minutes in, him almost finished his second item because those items are so cheap. Fengyue already doing what Fengyue does best, getting poked out early.
Really good poke, though, and I mean, that stops now any level 1 shenanigans being able to succeed for Fengyue and Tiachi, as they lose out on a little bit of HP, but that means that the all-in is no longer going to be favourable for them. You can see that Yao Yao commanding respect of this brush. As soon as those Qs go wide, though, Fengyue has an opening.
Yup, and everybody's slowed when Jachi's hitting you, so already getting some of the summoner spells out down on the bottom side. It looks like Fengyue may want in for round 2, but takes a lot on the way back. Nothing too surprising in terms of our rune choices here for this game is flashless. That is important to note.
Yeah, he saved his HP here. He knows he's going to hit level 2 and then get a flash on a 10-second cooldown. So saving HP by not taking a load of auto attacks from Jachi at level 1 definitely makes a little bit of sense when you try and contextualize it with his E. Jachi, though, has missed a good couple of minions already, which is not necessarily what you would like. And now that level 2 is able to come through and able to force this wave under the turret, they might even look for a very early recall here, prevent themselves from being too poked out. I forgot it's Ezreal Car, but they're going to poke under the turret. My bad.
Yeah, yep, this is true. It's gonna be bad news. So far, so easy for the side of top esports elsewhere with Cream. Already able to push up a little bit on Karis here. Again, we'll see if Nio is going to get disrupted early or if he's going to be able to disrupt Monkey. I feel like once something bad happens to Monkey, things tend to fall apart for Team WE. And this is a bit of an issue when he is the one who is leading the charge.
Wait for this
ward,
timeout.
yep, gonna expire. Lie and wait. He's ready to make his move. Fengyue needs to land this hook. Yao Yao is walking away along with About. The slow is there. About getting tagged. He's going to get engaged on first. Shift is there. Flashing after him. Yao Yao leaves his AD carry to die. It's first blood to Jachi.
Yep, only so much that you can do there as Yao Yao. Unfortunately, with no flash, they do manage to punish the Ezreal as Cube in trouble here. He's still got Q3 and the stun from the W lasting for just a little bit too long. But it's first blood over to Jachi, this Karma Ezreal. Really good to see that Nio there skips his entire bot side to be down on that gank timer in time. I'm curious because Monkey's level 4 might have been able to go and try and invade, but without any bot side prio, does make it very difficult. He will get a top grab uncontested, might even be able to put down a little bit of vision, instead doesn't have it. Whoa! And will be looking to find his way back to base.
Yeah, I mean, this level 4 just means nothing right now, unless you're going to actually do something with it. We are seeing a ping go down onto Cream, so this could be the opportunity for him to do something with it. Cream is very low on mana. You'll get nothing more than stopping a recall here, and if that's all you're getting with your advantage, that's a huge win for top esports.
Yeah, and you know, all of that time that we were looking, you know, this is what you have to consider, okay? All of that time that Monkey spent, quote, farming, right? Like getting himself those camps, whatever, gave him this farm lead. Now, we need to see what it is that he's able to do with it. Here's nothing.
Uh-oh, Nio is immediately revisiting the bot lane here.
There.
He's going to tag up About. About is caught, and About is dead. Yao Yao going to be the next target, too. Is the shielding going to be enough? Is he going to be able to get under the turret? He is, but he will not survive. Nio is able to walk out, and the top esports jungler is crushing Team WE under the pressure.
And it's not even for the vibes of it. He finds a double kill down on that bot side once again. This is what happens when we give Nio something with a little bit of early game control. Yes, he's going to lose out quite heavily on his top side camps this time round, but he's able to just find another couple of kills down in that bot lane. About and Yao Yao, you know, they were laning 2v2 just fine, but this is a jungle diff right now. Monkey was able to go in and steal away some chickens, but that's going to be of little consequence to top esports when they look at the 1k gold lead they've already picked up.
A very difficult start for a Team WE squad that has fallen flat on their face here in this best of 5. We expected fireworks between these two teams, and there's no firepower for the side of Team WE as Nio is looking to revisit the bot lane once more. Heal already getting expended. Fengyue lands that hook onto About. He's able to shift away. Nio didn't show either.
He might be in trouble if he does. Monkey is lurking around the corner here. But they are able to clear out that vision once again, and you can see that... Yeah, here comes Karis as well.
And he's got that Realm Warp. We are going to see a root come down onto Fengyue. Here comes that Realm Warp in as well, and Fengyue will fall. Good job by Karis moving around well.
Yeah, recalled and then went back out via bot lane. Knows that he's going to be able to work his way back up to that mid lane eventually. He might miss out on maybe 1 or 2 creeps, but it's actually going to be able to successfully grab the majority of it. And all of this has come at a cost here. You can see Monkey level 6 versus Nayo's level 4. Needs to get some camps in his back pocket as well. Now the Fongyue is the one to fall. Is a bit of a win for Top Esports.
Forge God coming through. We'll see if 369 actually wants this fight. A little low on mana, he's okay to just hang out, farm up, and make his impact known elsewhere in this game. See a lot of ping setting up on the top side for this second grab. 369 is going to go eat some of his honey fruit. His Cuban Chorus are going to force him away. 69 will have to flash.
Okay, and I was expecting him to go for that flash when he went for the all-in. Didn't end up using either of them. And now in the mid lane, Cream in trouble. Oh dear.
Oh, great roam from Yao Yao, and Monkey is going to descend on him as well. Good flash from Cream. Hook is on to Monkey. Jachi's on the way. Cream quite low, but they force away Team WE. All the while, Nayo is able to sneak away the dragon.
Yeah, Cream with a good flash there. Dodges the to the skies damage, which means he's able to stand firm. Hold on.
Oh, Fongyue getting it done right on top of Chorus.
And he just can't be expecting that hook there. Has flash ready the whole time, but does end up falling. Not on this bot side about, actually able to do some really meaningful damage here to Jiachi. Level 6 does come through, though, for the Ashe. Good dodge out on that Mystic shot. With the Sheen in the back pocket, Ezreal not a slouch currently, and it, you know, to 0-2 and 1, but still ahead in gold, still ahead in farm, rather. The fact that he's lost those 2 kills, or 2 deaths, rather, quite surprising that he's even so close to parity. Take another look in this mid lane. Monkey, again, shock blasts a minion, flashes out by Cream. Overall, this Jace has not been able to really make that payment work. It's a good roam from the bot side of Top Esports, don't get me wrong, but then you can just see Fongyue here. Great angle on the hook. Looks like he's walking up towards that top side to try and defend some chickens. Catches him with the fakie and now might have found him once again.
Oh, he's flashing after Karis, forcing Karis' flash out. What this will do is it'll buy time for Nayo to go and pick up all of these grubs. Fongyue making great moves. A caster minion in the mid lane, 6th Man of the Year award. Means that Top Esports has a very sizable lead right now. It's only about 600 or 700 gold, but the objectives going their way as well. Just plus the fact that Cream's online, Nayo's online, it's really good for them.
If anything, a little surprised to see that Jiachi is not much further ahead than About, right? We look at their experience. About is actually a little bit further up. The CS as well, About is slightly further ahead, largely because Jiachi had been moving out of experience range to try and chase down these kills, so he's losing out on quite a good amount. And with how fast waves actually respawn, when you're looking to try and take these kills, when you try and take these pushing waves down into the bot side, it's very difficult to deny a full wave of experience. Gone are the days where you can push a wave, have it fully crash, before you are either Sivir or you've hit a good amount of breakpoints in your items. So we'll see if you can get a little bit more of an advantage, as Cube might be looking for 369 here.
All Out does come through. 369 does have to call the Forge God, but we'll sit and take a recall under the turret for the moment. Monkey Shock Blast goes wide, as he might have an assist on his ledger, but he has not done much in this game. Karis able to deftly dodge out of the Petrifying Gaze.
Feels like Monkey's just taking up some shooting practice in the mid lane, right? I've seen the last 3 times I've seen Monkey. Yeah, no, that's true. I've just seen him firing shock blasts at Cream. One of them, yeah, granted, there was a root on him, but the other 2 that went wide, we've not been able to land those for free just yet, but we'll keep our eyes out for Jiachi now getting caught on the bot side. Tether does break, fortunately for him. The power of those tier 2 boots and a little bit of a slow coming through onto Yao Yao there being enough to break that.
This has been a big regression from Team WE. It feels like they have no bite to their gameplay anymore. Their bot lane has struggled mightily. The rookie of the split About not getting it done. And from downtown, that enchanted crystal arrow lands flush. Karis falling for a second time. And there's just nothing that Team WE can do.
And in fairness to Karis there, those arrows from the deep side of the lane are tricky to dodge. If you don't see them coming in time, you can just get caught with it, and not quite as easy to get a sidestep on. And there are 3 members of Top Esports also waiting in the wings for that arrow to connect. You've got the grounding coming through. You had Feng Yue with another hook. Knock up from Nio as well. Top Esports, though, as far as this game goes, they're going to be happy to try and take this one late if they need to. They've got the engage from Leon. They've got a little bit of engage from Feng Yue and Nio. And they've got the damage to back it up as well. Old school Season 2 Ashe plays. Imagined, reimagined for Season 25.
So perfect. Listen, it's nice to see that a champion like Ashe, who's quite an old champion, still make plays happen and still be relevant in the modern day. About going to get knocked up here as Monkey showing up on the bot side. Heal out from Yao Yao. Empowered Q goes down with a shock blast landing on the Feng Yue. 20 seconds till this dragon is up, and it feels like Team WE are starting to try and be progressive here. Hook does not land onto Yao Yao. Jhachi split up from the rest of the squad, but not getting poked out quite yet. Did see Cream take a recall. Doesn't have a teleport either for the time being.
So they just know, okay, Karis has the ability to move. Realm Warp's ready, so let's just make sure that we're not costing ourselves all that much by going fishing really early on. Monkey again, still down here on this bot side. Really wants to either find a recall for a battle, or looking for a 2v3.
It's right on Monkey. Here comes Nio. He's ready to go in and fight. Monkey gets a kill, but he gets traded out on the backside. Realm Warp there, and Nio says, I'll stand and fight. Cream flashing in, petrifying gaze, locks up Karis, and he goes down next.
Yeah, can't get out, doesn't have flash. He's grounded underneath the structure as well, and it's Top Esports once again clinging to this lead, and this time round pushing it that little bit further. Yes, Feng Yue falls, but these have little consequences. Cream now going to look aggressively underneath this turret about. He's got flash, he's got barrier, so might be feeling a little bit more confident, but I do think that this Cassiopeia, God of Age has already picked up. Swifty Boots in the back pocket as well, and upgraded to that mid lane quest as well. Does feel really good for Cream, does feel really good as well for the rest of Top Esports. Able to pick up a second dragon, again rolling a Cloud Soul, but we'll see if Jhachi's able to escape this assault on him in the mid lane, and answer is just unequivocally yes.
So difficult for Team WE to play here. About has that Trinity Force after this recall, so that is a bit of a spike. You're going to really love that for the Herald fight coming up in 1 minute and 40 seconds. I think Team WE kind of needs to stick to their guns at this point and fight at every objective. This is a team that has been known to not like giving up objectives, and despite the fact that Karis doesn't have a whole lot in the inventory, I think you have to leverage the early strength of Monkey and About right now. We need to see some impact come in for Cube, perhaps, with a crafty all out on a target in one of these fights. I just worry that Nio got it. I worry that 369 is going to be more impactful than Cube.
And you know, with the recent trends, it's not an unfounded worry here, Yanni. Yeah, 500 gold lead for Cube on that top side. Largely, I'd say, off of his own back. There's a couple of plates that he's been able to pick up, a 15 CS lead as well. But the question really is that going to be enough here? Remember that he is supposed to act as the frontline Cube for this poking composition. As Nio is supposed to act as that frontline, but also the engage. He's supposed to act as this part of the puzzle that can begin a fight.
Nio looking for a flank. Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to go wide. Yao Yao trying to tether Feng Yue, but nothing to be had there. Is just going to clear out some of this vision here on the bottom side. Karis awaits minions to hit his turret, already losing out on one. As we head to the wet noodle fight up in the top lane for some reason. Now let's look at the real action here. Jhachi getting tagged up, flashes away, but it looks like a fight that About is going to win. A solo kill for About.
And that was much needed, but Jhachi with some really bad clicks in there. Down on the bot side, they did pick out Yao Yao, and they're looking for Karis here as well.
Teleport coming in from behind here. It's going to be Cube joining the party as Karis is quite low. Nio is going to get sequestered out. He's able to flash away. What the rest of Top Esports will do? Feng Yue is going to land a hook, and they're going to target out Monkey. Cream doing big damage as Monkey falls. Karis is hanging on by a sliver as Cube has to walk forward in this 3v1. Yao Yao is on the way. The shields are going to be available. He's going to target Cube with the first one, but the hook lands, and now he's stuck on the miasma, choking on the toxic air that Cream is putting out. Cube on this backside finds Feng Yue after an all-out. out, but now finds himself in a 2v1 because Karis can't help, and the Rubik's Cube has been smashed to pieces. TES up 1.3k gold.
4-0-4, 4-0-3. You said it at the top of the game, Yanni. This is the Cream and Nayu world that the rest of top esports are just living in. It's just Cream solo takes out Yao Yao, whilst that mid lane 1v1 ended up happening. But the 3v3 down on this bot side, one that I was expecting to be relatively favourable for WE, because they've got their 3 topside members where top esports are playing with their support. It's just a case of target acquisition. Cream is constantly unchecked. Now 369 is going to flash his way out to safety here. We might be seeing more. There's a TP behind from Cream, and here comes Fengyue.
Oh, watch out, the miasma, the stun, it's too much to deal with. Cream has gone crazy in this game. He's 5-0-3, the Cassiopeia counter played to perfection. About is going to die in the mid lane as well to Jachi, and it is all gone to pieces. Top esports running over Team WE, looking to make this a clean 3-0 series.
And I will remind you, people at home, this game does not get worse as the game gets later for top esports. A Cassio is a champion renowned for her scaling. The fact that Cream is 5-0-3 only means that she gets to critical mass even sooner. Her ability to churn through frontline at max stacks, at maximum possibility, is pretty much unrivaled for mid lane champions. And as we see now, the Herald being secured, Cream going back to base with a 2.6k gold lead, 10 stacks on a Dark Seal. It feels almost inevitable, the outcome of this game and this series.
4k gold lead for top esports. They've gotten every objective on the map so far. They have sufficiently shut down Monkey. They attacked the rookie of the split and Yao Yao in the bot lane. Karis has been sufficiently locked up. Cream in a little bit of trouble now as Cube is trying to make something happen. It's a good flash. He's knocked back, and it's Monkey getting a shutdown. Maybe that triggers something in Team WE to find a way back in this game. We're going to get a Herald charge coming through, but Karis is here just to clean up the wave.
So the tier 1 turret falls, and they get a good amount of plates as well off of the tier 2 in exchange for Cream's life. They'll also pick up a Cloud Soul Point Dragon, and looks like on this top side, top esports are going to lose out on 369 as WE are quite content with the play that they have just made. It will be a slow return to normalcy here as the rest of the map outside of this mid lane relatively even. Jachi and About still going blow for blow despite the fact that Jachi had got given so many resources early on. Same to be said on that top side as well. Cube and Monkey still having slight gold leads over their counterparts. Again, despite the large-scale hole in this mid lane. This truly is a game for Cream to go out and win.
Baron spawning in about a minute, and with this large lead that top esports has, it's looking very, very poor for Team WE, as you had just mentioned a few moments ago. So I think the big question is, can we define the split one as a success for Team WE? Because they did get into Group Ascent, which is the big thing, right? If you're not in Group Ascent, you want to get into Group Ascent, and successful they were to get there. We'll hold that thought for a moment as we are investing everything we have into killing Cube at this point, and it looks like they're going to get him. It's just a matter of time. Now, what is the response going to be from Team WE?
Well, I don't know that it could be all that great. As you can see, Cream takes the safe ways back to the mid lane, doesn't path his way through Monkey, but a good amount of poke early on. Cream, you can see, more intent on trying to do some damage back, and you can see why, but About standing and delivering as well. Does outrange the Cassio, so might be able to make some things happen here if a Fengyue hook doesn't quite connect.
Shock Blast, the Fengyue is forced to flash away, but they're just lying in wait for Nayo in the arrow. It's going to get the Mikhails out from Monkey. Teleport going to be coming in as well. Nayo not going to be landing. The wind becomes lightning here. There's a 369 TP just a match down on the bottom side. Meanwhile, top tier 2 taken by Jachi.
So overall, again, trades favourable for top esports now. Karis here, he's got Phase Rush, he's got Realm Warp. Let's see if he needs any of them.
He should be just.
Paul the Forge got the 369, so a little bit of Phase Rushing, a little bit of Rise passiving, he's able to get out of there.
Yeah, so to go back to it, is this successful? Is going 3-2
Yeah.
against Top Esports the first time around, and then coming up here and getting ran by AL and getting skunked here by Top Esports for that matter, is this still successful? Because I think this team has higher aspirations after that 2025 summer finish where they finished fourth. After that end of 2025 where it felt like they had unfinished business after not making it out of Knights Rivals. Despite the change in the bottom lane, I think the big core is the same, and I think the expectations have to be higher.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Yanni, I'm in a different boat. I think that for WE, if they had those high aspirations, maybe they don't have the budget to back it up, but they didn't pick a roster that would get them. It feels like much further than this. For me, I'm happy that they made it this far, that they are going to be in Group Ascend in Split number 2, because I really thought that might not be the case. You know, they've been able to pick up a bout and you know, put him into the roster. He's done very well, and I think that had that not been the case, this could have been a very different split for them. Overall, as Georgie gets caught again, flash forced from him in the mid lane, I do think that WE should really be happy with this split. You know, they've got a good amount of development. Karis was able to step up a little bit, and now looking mid lane for a bout.
Oh, the Forge God perhaps predicting a flash, but oh, the knockup is going to target him up, and it's another knockup by 369. And the Team WE members in the mid lane, the bottom lane and support will fall once again.
TP committed here by Cream to try and make this play happen. And a wonderful double knock-up from 369. Finds them caught on a wall. Top Esports will turn this now into the Baron, with About and Yaya finding their 4th deaths respectively in this game. The Baron will be taken. No WE YOLO at the 20-minute marker to be found.
Not at all. A very clean, clinical game here from Top Esports. Up 5,000 gold, 16 kills to 5. There is not much that Team WE were able to do in this one. It is not over yet, but it is not looking good. Now we have a lot of questions to ask about Team WE. Do we think there could be any potential changes moving into Split 2? There's a couple of supports that are still out there. You know, Crisp and Hong are, you know, around, and Yao Yao has mentioned again, he doesn't know, like, when he's going to be able to play his last game, really, and this is a guy that has been around for a while, but hasn't really stuck too much at the Tier 1 level. We'll see if he gets another split for himself. Backside, Nayo not going to be able to land when becomes lightning. As Team WE, they are going to try and do what they can to avoid this dragon going over. Nayo targeting out of bounties on the backside, trying to mitigate as much damage as he can. Cube still alive, but will finally fall to Cream, and now he will slither forward and look for the rest of Team WE. Karis going to get knocked up with the side. 369 is going to whiff the Ornn ultimate, but it does not matter because Top Esports are too damn strong. It's a triple kill for Cream, and he just knew where Monkey was without even having vision of him. He has Team WE downloaded. Top Esports have Team WE downloaded. That is an ace, an unofficial quadra, and a Cloud Soul for Top Esports.
Yeah, this game, this series, Yanni, I fear has been pretty much wrapped up. 5k gold lead. A Cassiopeia who has got 23 stacks on her Magi Soul Stealer. One more fight will ding that over to the big 25. The Cloud Soul in her back pocket. There's very little opportunity for anybody to get on top of her. Cube there, selling out his marksman. Forces the Mikhails out of Yao Yao early, and I don't know if a used Mikhails would have been any better through the back half of this, but even still, you can see that Karis isolated here, focused, not quite sure where his flash was heading into. And then in the mid side as well, Cream is just absolutely steamrolling. He's got 3,500 HP, he's got all that much more AP as well, and Ezreal Karma just can't quite manage to deal with all of this.
I know we've been lauding Cream for his great play in this game, as we should be. We'll hold that thought as an arrow is going to come and land flush on about. He's locked up. Nayo on top of Yao Yao. A Realm Warp will at least get your Ezreal out, but it will not get the Rise out. We can talk about lauding, you know, Cream getting all the plaudits for this game while they kill Cube, but what this series showed me is that Nayo, I thought he was maybe on the same level as Monkey, that those guys were very similar in skill. I think Nayo has proven far and away in the series that he is the better jungler. He was the one making a lot of proactive plays in this series where Monkey could not.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not necessarily just a product of the champions either. I mean, Monkey got absolutely smurfed on in this, in particular, game number 3. Game 1 where he had the Poppy, we didn't really see too much from him. Game number 2, we didn't see too much on the Viego outside of some really good team fights later on. The early game from Monkeys have been lacking, and you can see here that Top Esports just kind of dancing as they take this tier 3 turret, the inhibitor as well, the entire time. Cream is pushing in the mid lane. There's Baron spawning. Hold on.
All right, Nio, use that ultimate. Very low. So the minions are pouring into the base, but Top Esports will walk it out with 2 inhibitors down. Yeah, I agree with you. It's, you know, not just champion choice for Nio. He's just played really, really well. I think that I don't know what they have to change here for the side of Team WE, because Monkey got these big carries in Game 2 and Game 3, was unable to bring it across the finish line. It feels like he needs to play some more of these champions that are almost Xinjiao-esque, right? Where they do carry a little bit of CC, where you do have some of this mitigation out of your ultimate, but you can also scrap and skirmish, which is what Team WE loves to do. And it feels like if you don't tick all those boxes for a jungler for Monkey, that Team WE has a harder time playing their game.
And for WE, obviously, you know, whatever the criticisms of Monkey may be, whatever the ropes to success are going to be, most likely going to need to have a good amount of off time in the off season to make it work. They're going to realm warp in Cube.
All right, we're going after Cream. If we can take him out, we might have a shot. Arrow goes wide. This could be the fight that Team WE needs, but it's Jachi on the flank. Look how fast he is. Just running them down. It's a double kill for 369. Cube going to be the next target. 369 flash for the triple kill. You know he wants a quad, but he's not going to get it. It's a full house of kills for Top Esports, and it's a full house in the base of WE, because he got minions and he got 4 members of Top Esports to walk it down and end this series. We thought these teams were close, and many did. I did. You said no. You are wrong. You have preached correctly to the people, Rudude, as Top Esports have 3-0'd and eliminated WE for the playoffs here in Split 1.
Yeah, 29-7. Not a close game, not a close series. Top Esports just were the better team on the day, and WE here, they'll go home, they'll close out their 2026 Split 1 with a whimper, really. And you can see sort of it feels almost subdued and quite a disappointing end for WE. But again, I personally want to credit them for what they were able to accomplish. I think as we came into this split, they picked up a rookie marksman who was expected to fill the massive shoes of Taeyoon. They swapped out Vampire as well, a player who's gone on to a new roster that is absolutely thriving out there. So they've swapped out their bot lane and made what we would have considered to be very real downgrades. 369's playing with the trophy. But
oh, didn't he have that on his... didn't he have something on his chest earlier?
Maybe.
Like that little gem? I thought I saw something like that earlier. So maybe that was one of them. Maybe he just took one of them and stuck it on his jersey.
More observant. Somebody
you
more
allowed to do that?
Will tell us. Yeah, we'll have to tell us what he just did. I
oh,
think it's,
okay. The captain gets it. Okay, the captain gets the little gem, and I guess they get to put it in the trophy when they win.
Maybe. That could have very well been what the case was. Now, I mean, for Top Esports, obviously this was an elimination match. They have not been eliminated. They get to play one more, and we'll take a look at the bracket and everything in a little bit of time here before we wrap up. But again, to reinforce for WE, them making it into Ascend for next split, I think is a win for them. I think they should be happy, and I think this now gives them an opportunity to play up against the best in the LPL once again. This is what succeeded for them. What they did so well back in 2025 was when they got this route to play up against all of these powerful, strong teams. They looked good when they were playing up against teams that were, equal to or slightly below their station. That's when we got to see some slightly poor post-season performances.
It's so disappointing, honestly, though. After the 3-2 that they had in Knights Rivals, and yeah, they got destroyed by AL, right? And as mentioned before, there's no shame in that. AL is one of the strongest teams that we have to offer here in the LPL. Many think one of the stronger teams in the world. But, this is a top esports team that I have to say, congratulations to them, because they learned so much from their series with JDG. And they were able to clean up a lot of the mistakes they made against Team WE last time around, played a much cleaner brand of League of Legends, and based on what I'm seeing here on the bracket, if they do end up playing up against Weibo Gaming, I've got a lot of confidence that top esports can go and beat up on Weibo Gaming. I do have some worries about this bot lane, though, if that's the case. Looking forward for them, because Elk has been phenomenal throughout the split so far.
Yeah, and that's the caveat here that we need to put in. I mean, I think that Cream this series, again, for me, the most improved player from 2025 into 2026, had a really, really solid performance and performed admirably throughout this entire series. So I'm really excited to see what he can do in this postseason. Nio, again, one of these players who we were not too sure how that introduction was going to be at the start of the split, and maybe it took a little bit of time. Maybe there have been some teething problems, but now in this series in particular, again, absolutely phenomenal. 369 out of that top side, pretty quiet series, but was never a problem, was never an issue for top esports. And as much as Cube was pretty subdued as well, always felt like the team fighting from 369 was just that bit better. Was always able to do that little bit more.
No doubt about it. I'm glad that you shouted out Cream there. He's a guy that I levied some criticism at earlier on the broadcast for not having great playoff series versus Team WE. Well, he exercised those demons for sure in this one. Remember, he had 0 player of the games in his last 4 series versus Team WE. It looks like he's well on his way to a 3rd player of the game. Or a 2nd, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Again, there is a world where you can give it to Nio. Nio had a lot of really strong early game impact. It did feel like as the game went on, Cream did start to take over. So I wonder how much credence is going to be lent to that strong early game compared to what Cream was able to do later. Rudy, what do you think?
No, I would definitely be looking to put it into Cream's hands for this game number 3. I think he was the damage carry, and I'm looking at remembering how those fights actually broke down, what actually happened in the plays. Cream was kind of leading as well. It wasn't him following up exclusively on Nio's picks. Like down on the bot side, he's picking out Yao Yao as he's trying to clear a ward in the brush. There are so many different things that Cream led in this game that I'm very excited to see what he can do.
I fully agree with you, my friend. We have an updated bracket ready, so let's go ahead and pull it up, because we got to see what's going on here. Double Elim bracket playoffs. And yes, it is top esports versus Weibo Gaming. So, Weibo Gaming, cleaning up IG, got cleaned up by BLG, so it's a little hard to, measure where they're at compared to top esports. I think that Split 1 regular season is a good indicator of where these teams are, where top esports may be just coming up a little bit short against Weibo. But if Cream plays like he did in this series, I think he could run over Xiaohu, who is still not really in form.
Yeah, I mean, the gulf between, well, we know that they're better than IG, but they're worse than BLG. Is a very large expanse of space that they could possibly be in. So it's definitely not easy to predict where they're going to be in. Overall, I am expecting a much closer series. So far, we've only had either very close series, these 3-2s, and only JDG actually in those. And in fairness, they had a 3-2 versus top esports, which I think indicates that they'd struggle versus AL, and then beat AL 3-2. So other than that, we have kind of weeded out a lot of the I would say early bracket matchups where we expect them all to be quite close. And I do think that whoever ends up losing or winning this IG versus NIP game probably then gets slaughtered by anyone's legend. But then after that, we kind of have our very good teams left in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really compelling games. Obviously, JDG BLG is going to be a banger. Banger alert for that one. Set your alarms for whenever that one is. Weibo Gaming and Top Esports, I actually think will be a pretty fun one, right? I'm not sure if I'm willing to call that one a turbo banger, but I definitely think that Top Esports has evolved enough to certainly make this a conversation, whereas before I would have just given it to Weibo. I'm really intrigued by this IG NIP game that's going to be tomorrow, covered by Quacks and Dia. But again, I think that's just fodder for AL. AL should run the bottom side of the bracket, and then we're going to I think our top three is going to be BLG, JDG, AL, and we're going to see these teams get in a fight toward the end of this split for, you know, in the end, getting the title and the top two teams getting over to first stand.
Yeah, and I mean that's the real race, right? The good thing is that upper bracket match decides our first team first of all. So, or you know, we would expect to see some very high action between JDG and BLG. I think that BLG seemingly in this playoffs have gone quite convincingly into a pretty convincing set of form. Now, whether or not that holds versus a team of slightly higher caliber, because they have been playing slightly weaker teams, it's worth saying. We'll wait and see. But for my money, BLG definitely look like a very formidable foe who I would be very daunted to play up against.
No doubt about it, Rudude. Well, we have the post-game interview going on. Those typically run very long, so we're not going to see what our final player of the game is or our player of the series, but all you got to know is that Top Esports wiped out Team WE in a 3-0 series. One more thing that you got to know is that while we shouted our coffee earlier, we got to thank our elite coffee supporters, Aaron, Soup, and Mung, because their pledged financial contributions help level up the broadcast and give back to the cast and crew who strive to give you an English LPL product every single day. Speaking of every single day, tomorrow as we turn the page over to March, it's IG versus NIP, as mentioned just a few moments ago. Dia and Quacks will be covering that one. Should be a really fun match, and that's our second eliminator match, so we'll see if IG or NIP, which one goes, which one stays, and which one gets fed to anyone's legend in the end. But that will do it for our broadcast here today. For myself, for my co-caster Rudude, for Shivan behind the glass, and for the entire LPL English family, we want to thank you all so much for being here with us today, and we hope to see you tomorrow for some more LPL action.